ES Cinder, a remix of Dark Souls 3 by Rotaka. Folks, you know what that song means.
I sure
Oh,
do.
yes.
Oh my god, it's such a dumpster fire.
I mean, what are we talking about? 2020 or?
I mean, yes. Also, clearly. But yes, this is a bit of a Well, first of all, welcome everybody. I'm MrBond.
I'm Tormod.
And I'm Saxxon.
So, if you're watching for the first time, or maybe just not for the first time, you notice finally 3 sort of smiling faces on your screen right now. If you're watching on Twitch, if you're catching the audio only. Or after the fact, or whatever, this is new. This is new for us. I had to very quickly throw something together for this, and we had to very quickly jump on Discord and get video set, and then the song was wrong on the title card, and yeah, okay, so a bit of a dumpster fire, but it looks okay. I think it looks great.
I think it looks fine. 7 seconds behind, but there you go.
Right? Like, I'm not getting paid to say that it looks great. I'm just the one responsible for it looking the way it is. So maybe a little biased, maybe.
Hey, now we can say we have faces for radio.
But I already said that, so at least my face. I won't presume to speak for anybody. Like, my face is perfect for radio. But anyways,
I'm growing a beard out because it's No Shave November. So.
Oh no. Well, good thing our next show will not be in November then.
I mean, you're not in Wisconsin anymore. You don't need it to stay warm, right?
That's true.
I mean, it is kind of cold overnight here. Just saying, we're getting into the 20s.
Really? You fall below freezing down there, huh?
Oh yeah, it happens.
Amazing. Well, welcome everybody to Insert Credits Round 84, the tiniest of lights. I have 2 different explanations for this one. Do we want like too real or kind of lighthearted and fun?
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, man. All right.
Both?
So the too real part is obviously 2020 sucks. We've had bad shit going on the entire year. But for this month, at least, we've had a couple like very, very tiny lights. I'm not going to mince words on this. Trump losing the 2020 election is fucking great. That shitbag should not have been elected in 2016. He shouldn't have had the nomination in 2016. And unfortunately, there are about 72 million Americans that thought that shitbag should have a second term. So him not having a second term, great. Tiny, tiny light of 2020. The other tiny light that's happened recently is with COVID-19. There is a promising vaccine coming out from Pfizer et al. That shows, at least according to initial reports, 90% plus effectiveness. So again, great tiny light of 2020. COVID-19 still racking the US because reasons. We're not going to get into that. But the idea that we finally have a reasonable vaccine coming is great. It gives us hope. It gives us strength. It gives us life as humanity. So, thank you.
And there's promising therapeutics for those who are infected.
Right. So, good news on that front, despite the record number of new cases in the past week, despite the ongoing battles with hospital capacity and deaths and cases in general is just awful. But the idea that a vaccine is coming is good news. So that's kind of the too real portion of the tiniest lights. The lighthearted portion is that I'm currently looking at a little bit over 8 million tiny points of light right now between my 4 monitors. And if you're using a 4K display, you've got roughly 8 million as well. So there, the tiniest lights. Like our lives revolve around this huge array of very, very tiny lights, and that's kind of weird and also impressive. So that's kind of the lighter end of that thing.
Ha!
So many puns.
Right? So, housekeeping. Our final... what are we on? Rounds, that's right. Rounds for insert credits.
We're only 84 in.
Right, exactly. You'd think I'd be able to get this straight by now. Round 85 we have scheduled in December. On the, I want to say the 11th. Okay, wow, yes. Wow, memory, great.
It does kind of feel like a November sometimes.
Right.
I mean, which decade are we in?
It's the 8th March of this year.
Yeah.
So December 11th, 7 p.m. CST for round 85. That will round out 2020 for insert credits here, which is good. I think it's...
How many puns?
Right. Oh man, I didn't even catch that one. Good job, me. So yeah, I think we've mentioned this a few times in the past as well. 84 rounds. Damn, that's a hell of a number. Considering that's spanned 4 years, 4 years, 5 years, maybe even more than that.
I don't know.
It's
I think 5 sounds about right.
it requires a little bit of math that I am not comfortable doing right now. So we'll just call it like 4-ish, 5-ish years or whatever, which is cool.
Somewhat.
I'm very constantly impressed with all of us for doing this. It's something to be proud of, to be happy with. We're certainly glad to be here to share our sometimes inane, sometimes insightful ramblings with y'all. So I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate that. Thank you, Tormod. Thank you, Saxxon. Thank you to all of our viewers and or listeners, past, present, and future. This is awesome,
Absolutely.
and we wish to continue doing it for as long as we are able.
Yeah, yell rock.
So that said, I think we're done with
Aw.
with housekeeping, unless somebody can discover something else to talk about there. I suppose, although I'm going to contradict myself, I suppose there is one thing that we should be going over right away as well. We don't typically do this, and we've actually done a pretty bad job of doing it, is explaining what the show is about. This is Insert Credits. This is a video game podcast where myself and Tormod and Saxxon, we talk about video games. We typically split it into 3 different segments. First segment, around the world, video game news, hardware releases, software releases, legalities, just a whole gamut of things that we talk about that's been going on in the world and locally and whatever. Just a whole big mess of news, just to keep everybody apprised of what's going on or what we've noticed as to what's been going on. From there, we typically roll into a brief music segment, just as a segue between things. After that, we go into stuff that we've been playing recently over the past month and a half, however long it's been since last show. And we do another music break. And then after that, we get to, honestly, my personal favorite segment of the show. We talk about design. We do little tiny designs of games, or we pick a mechanic or some other focus and kind of build off of it. Stuff that we typically haven't spent a lot of time and thought on. Like sometimes it's, for me, it's been less than 24 hours since I wrote up the thing that I've got prepared. And sometimes
I was bullying you in the notes and you just didn't see it.
No, I didn't. I was focused. I needed to get that done last night.
That's how a lot of ideas, kind of come about. But I mean, all the same, it's, I think that, kind of some of that spontaneous, I got to come up with something fast. Like it doesn't give us a chance to rule out the things that we feel are too far out there. And, like you can refine something like that and come up with something that's really fun, even if it's just like shower thought,
Right. Yeah. And sometimes
at this point, I'm just throwing caution to the wind and being like, okay, this is what I'm doing this time. Have fun.
Yep.
Yeah. And sometimes I think from the outset, some of it sounds a little too wild, maybe like extremely undercooked. But as we talk through it, like during the show, it turns out it's like, wow, these are really good. It's like these are really good. I mean, not to cast aspersions on stuff that we don't think is really good. I'd say it's all at least passable.
Look, y'all made concrete the idea of shuffleboard hero before I even got on here.
Okay, so I didn't say it this time. Someone else said it for me. And I know because MrBond doesn't have it queued up right now that I can just say Mother Sword.
Oh.
Well, if you keep talking and give me a moment, I could probably find it. Oh yeah, here it is.
Mother Sword
will never cease to entertain me. I know you guys are kind of on a little bit of a delay, so you'll probably hear it later.
I'm a little too proud of that.
It's incredible. It is incredible.
Well,
Thank you, Saxxon, for putting that together, actually.
Yes. I don't have the stream audio going to my headset when we're not in a break, so I guess I missed it, but my excited face will have to make up for it.
I did play it, so just to not make a liar out of you. So we did put that together. But yeah,
that was great.
I figured it was worth a quick overview for our own sake, as much as anybody new who might be happening to listen and or watch tonight. Welcome. Obviously, we are not sticking to a rigid format by any means. We're not calling to order or reading last meeting's minutes or stuff like that. This is very much free form, and and playing off of each other and shit posting verbally.
Yeah, you just kind of do it as you do it as you need to, right? Like you don't have to conform to any sort of like rigid format if it doesn't make sense.
Right. And I think this show in particular is going to assist with that, since this is now the first show, as mentioned before, that you have all three of us on video. In the
It
past,
is nice to be back.
Yeah. In the past, we've done it locally where I'm sitting in my office here, and when Tormod was still living in Wisconsin and Tony was down here and all that, or excuse me, Saxxon. It was really great to get us all literally in one room, just bantering back and forth and whatever. Obviously, the situation being what it is in 2020 with the pandemic and people now living much further away, we're getting as good as we can here remotely. And I think that's really important to keep the character of the show and also to kind of stretch the character of the show a little bit. Obviously, we can't literally punch each other, or we're not literally within punching range of each other. We would never do that. We don't condone violence.
I'm like, I don't know if I've done that on camera while we were together in the same room.
Well, we certainly could have, couldn't we?
something S&C brawlers. Anyway.
Right. But this is pretty much as close as we can get remotely, and considering the stream layout itself and the graphics are a little thrown together as of half an hour ago. I don't know. I think it's pretty good.
It looks good. Yeah, it looks good to me. So
right.
It's a very pleasing shade of blue.
Yeah, I do enjoy the blue. I like to keep that kind of shade of color for insert credits. That's our brand.
the VHP blue.
Hashtag brand.
Yeah, right. Hashtag not sponsored yet. But yeah, so that's kind of what insert credits is about. It's just about video games and talking about shit and just having a good old time. So I hope whoever's along for the ride tonight gets that feeling, has a good time along with us. That being said, how about we move into our first segment, Around the World, some news. So, we've been following Epic versus Apple for 3 shows now, probably.
Yeah.
Some developments in that. There was a hearing this past week in which Apple had filed a couple counterclaims against Epic. Epic fired the first shot with their lawsuit against Apple. But Apple's counterclaims, both of their counterclaims, were thrown out in a pretrial hearing by the judge. So the trial for all this is still set for May 2021. Quick backstory to all this, the origins of this Epic versus Apple fight. Epic had Fortnite on the Apple App Store. And Apple's policies, and I could be getting some of the details wrong, but Apple's policies state that the App Store is the only thing that can be used to charge money to Apple customers to purchase apps on the App Store. Epic, in whatever wisdom they had, decided that the 30% cut that Apple takes is too much. So they decided to kind of shunt off of that, bypass the App Store, and charge for the Fortnite app on the App Store in a different method, in a way that Apple doesn't get the 30% cut. Obviously, Apple was not happy about this. So they booted Fortnite off the App Store. Epic sued, claiming, what it boils down to is claiming anti-competitive practices. Personally, I am not enamored of either company. Maybe I'm a little bit more side-eyed to Apple than I am to Epic. And my ultimate personal take to this is that it's a bunch of billionaires having a pissing match. And honestly, if they both lost, that'd be great. Now, there's no legal foundation for that, clearly, so we'll have to see what happens, but just sitting back and watching.
Sip.
Yep.
Right.
Sometimes you just, sometimes all you want to do is cook marshmallows. And
I like that. I have not heard that before. It's so good.
also ad hoc, so.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect. So yeah, judge throwing out 2 of Apple's counterclaims. There might have been more, but those are the 2 big ones that I heard of. And then the trial continuing to be set for May 2021. So
yeah,
I don't doubt we'll have more info in the interim, but that's where it stands right now.
It would have been even more perfect if it were in June, but I'm not going to explain that joke.
Oof.
Okay. I feel like having the counterclaims like dismissed makes this more interesting. and it's going to give them both an opportunity to, speak their piece. And so yeah, be looking forward to that one. I hope it's like streamed or something so that we can just like watch it. And,
I don't know
and,
that it'll go that far, but yeah, I would be
it probably
very,
won't.
I would be
But if
very
it's streamed on
interested.
Twitch, there's going to be ads every 10 minutes. And
Oh, good. Oh, we're getting to that later. Don't you worry.
oh,
yeah.
geez, I was trying to give you a segue. Come on.
No. I like to bookend the bullshit with the good stuff in between.
Okay, fine.
Which, honestly, I'm not sure that any of the stuff I've got is really like truly objectively good, but we'll see where it goes. So Devolver Digital, a well-known indie publisher, has acquired Crow Team, the developer behind the series of Serious Sam and Talos Principle. Yeah. So
Interesting.
I don't have an opinion on this one really. I'm usually pretty side-eye about acquisitions in general.
Yeah.
Not for any particularly well-defined reason, honestly. But it seems like, well, if you can't innovate or if you're not good in a field, you tend to acquire. And more often than not, again, opinion, more often than not, it turns into the thing having been acquired going to shit.
Yeah.
That said, I'm not particularly invested in what Crow Team has put out. I haven't really played any of the Serious Sam games. I've heard they're very good. I have played the Talos Principle, a couple variations of it, and I think that's very good. But I'm also kind of, positive on Devolver Digital as a whole, as a publisher, as an indie publisher.
Mm-hmm.
They've done some good things. They've published some very good games. They've been very indie friendly, which it's great. It's a plus. Love it. So I've got no side to really bitch about on this one. So I guess you should probably take that as an overall plus.
Yeah.
Just that.
As long as it's like they didn't, like lay off a bunch of people or whatever, or just decide like all we wanted was the IP, crap like that, which, you find from like much larger corporations. So,
right. So
yeah.
What I do like to see is like, cross pollination of teams, you have talent in Devolver and you have talent in Crow Team. And so, you just kind of get them together and everyone jams. Like I love that kind of, that kind of thing, but
yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Based on what I've heard about it so far, is like I haven't heard like an astounding amount of money for this acquisition, right? I couldn't even find a single figure about it, honestly, because usually like, oh, such and such X $billion or $1 million or whatever, which one you wouldn't really expect here because, indie publisher and, not super AAA dev team, right? So it's like, well, money isn't really a huge thing here, and the fact that I couldn't find, well, I didn't really look for a number, but the fact that it wasn't like headlines, X $1 billion or whatever, it means that, maybe there's a better spin on this than just purely the money aspect.
Yeah. And, it could be that like neither one of them are publicly traded, right? So it's not like they have to disclose that.
Right. That certainly could be too. So maybe it is a shady amount of money going on back there. Who knows?
$1.
Wouldn't that be a thing?
I'm sure someone's going to dig it up at some point.
Poor developers, if that's the case, like they should get paid.
Well, yeah, of course.
But speaking of money making headlines and shit, another acquisition, this one a little bit more side-eye because of the amount of money involved. Take-Two has bought, well, not has bought, will be buying out Codemasters. Codemasters dev known for the racing games such as the Dirt series, the F1 series, some Need for Speed titles. Take a guess, without looking at the notes because that's cheating, take a guess for the acquisition amount, how much they'll be paying.
An order of magnitude higher than $1. At least one order of magnitude.
Well, okay, yes, that's very vague and also correct.
Tormod wants to play by Price is Right rules. Okay.
I'll tell you, it's less than the Microsoft acquisition of Minecraft.
Good?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Let's see, for just the racing games.
For Codemasters as a whole, they're most well known for the racing games.
Okay, all right. Gosh, the Codemasters does some pretty good stuff, and they're high profile, but they're not like massive. If I had to guess, somewhere around maybe 300 or 400.
Wow. Okay, that's an extremely low ball. $994 million.
Are you serious?
So close to $1 billion, like close to the full billion with a B. $994 million.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. isn't it?
Yes.
So again, I don't have any investment on either side of this. Like I couldn't tell you if Take-Two was terrible. I couldn't tell you if Codemasters is good. Despite knowing kind of like the general reaction to their games is their Dirt series seems pretty well received. F1 series seems pretty well received. That's a lot of money. And the whole acquisition aspect of it is like, okay, what's going on here? But again, no firm footing on casting aspersions on this. Just that this seemed like a noteworthy thing. $994 million for an acquisition.
That's like a very specific number. It's
Right?
like someone wanted $1 billion, and they're like, "Well, can we have you down another $6 million?" Like,
yeah, it's like the $9.99. Oh, it's less than $10. But yeah, I don't know. It's so much. It's like it's greater. It's a greater amount of money that I can conceive in my head, and I'm a math guy, so it seems like a lot of money.
It's a lot of zeros.
It is.
Yeah.
It is very much.
Yeah, for that amount of money, like it's no one buys that without expecting to be able to make that in return. So Take-Two must, have some really big plans.
Right.
Otherwise that's
Right.
Somebody came off way better in that deal otherwise.
Right. And given what you said earlier about Codemasters being, well, maybe not the most well known, but
Yeah.
I think given the perception of them as having done very high quality titles, it speaks to a likelihood that they're not going to be broken up or dissolved or reassigned or whatever, which is good, I think. If they're doing good work, continue to let them do good work. But being under now this bigger Take-Two umbrella is like, well, there's always that possibility of some shit going down down the road, which is a little scary.
Yeah.
And despite me not having any particular attachment to Codemasters, makes me worried for them. But it is what it is. $994 million. Everybody's got a price, and I'd say I'd sell out for much less than that. So, so good on Codemasters, I guess.
Yeah.
Have fun with your massive amount of money. Other acquisition news, rumors this time only. Rumors that Microsoft is looking to acquire Japan-based game developers to fill out their profile a little bit. Now, rumors being what they are, there's no official confirmation of this. Head of Xbox Phil Spencer did deny it. However, he did leave some uncertainty with this, saying that he was not in every meeting. So, not a straight-up denial. No confirmation.
So he's saying he's not an AI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
True, very true.
It's a market that Microsoft has been trying to get more into for a long time. Like if you remember their push when they had the 360 come out with Blue Dragon, for example, they were like funneling a lot of money and marketing into Japan, and it didn't really pay off for them. Like it didn't end up being as big of a hit as they wanted. So I don't know. Who knows? Like I guess we'll see if they're any more or less successful this time.
Yeah, and again, it's still rumors, not exactly confirmed, but Phil Spencer out and out, not like 100% no uncertainty denying it is a little suspect, I think. Always kind of side-eye that sort of thing. But yeah, I think from my perspective, I've always seen Japan as like the Nintendo stronghold, right?
Yeah, it's all Nintendo and Sony there. That's just the way it is,
So trying to break into that is they've got a tough road ahead of them if that's what they're going for. But then again, Microsoft has money. They have the money to do this, so I wouldn't doubt that they'll be able to do it. And I guess we'll just have to wait to see if these rumors become something more than rumors. So, Tormod, you mentioned earlier about Twitch and throwing up ads every 10 minutes and shit like that. Twitch has had a hell of a past couple weeks. Despite the fact that we're broadcasting on Twitch right now, that does not preclude us from talking shit about them because they deserve to be having shit talked about them.
Yeah.
DMCA notices have been going out the past few weeks, way more than they have ever before in Twitch's history. And they were accompanied by very little information from Twitch themselves. They've been set to, all the way from no-name streamers, affiliates, up to, massive Twitch partners. hey, your content, your stream content has violated the DMCA according to such and such claim from, essentially boils down to RIAA. But no mention of what was violating it, and no real means to file a counterclaim, claim fair use, dispute it, nothing like that. Twitch, to their very small credit, and I don't use that lightly because honestly, Twitch does not deserve very much benefit of the doubt here, has admitted that that sucks, and that they are, quote unquote, working on making the process better, providing more information, providing the said ability to file counterclaims, etc., and they're working on it. So, okay, that's one thing. The other thing that they're kind of in the shithouse for, at least from my perspective, and several others that have crossed my Twitter timeline as well, they are starting to detect ad blockers in use while you're watching Twitch streams. And as part of that, they've been throwing up mid-roll ads every 10 minutes, 15 minutes, somewhere around there.
Taking a page out of the New York Times.
Yep.
Yeah.
As well as locking you to 480p 30 playback, regardless of whether you subscribe to that channel or not.
Wow.
So,
I kind of wonder if you can get around with that with something like Pi-hole or something like that. Like,
so
that you don't install on a computer.
Right? With that, there's already been a workaround put in place for people that use uBlock. There is a little text thing that you can throw into the uBlock config to get around their ad blocking detection. So, welcome back to the ad block arms race. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say about this. Twitch is... I can't say that they're wrong for doing this. Personally, I believe it's a terrible choice to try to run the gauntlet against ad blockers because, whatever hits my browser is mine. You will not get around that. If you try to block me from shit, I'm going to find a way around it.
They're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, or rather, other people will find a way around it, and then they will share that info with me, and okay. So I don't really see a good way through this for anybody. Ad blocking is more than just denying a revenue stream from advertising. Ads, ad networks, whatever, as a delivery mechanism have been proven multiple times to be vectors for malware. So I'm going to claim the safety route and say, if you're not first party hosting your own ads, you're done. You're off. I will have no qualms about blocking all of that shit.
Because in like all of their agreements are like, we reserve the right to serve ads, but we also claim no responsibility for what happens when we serve you these ads. It's like the shadiest thing. And they, and like everybody does that.
So like, yeah, if they want to pull the route of, oh yeah, Twitch needs ads to survive, and maybe that's technically true. But then they pull this shit on paying subscribers.
Yeah, like part of what they played up was like, like just removing some of that,
right?
When you subscribed or like paid Twitch or whatever. Like it kind of feels like, wow, we've been bamboozled here. Like, I use that unironically here, like,
yeah, and I very distinctly remember, like, as soon as Amazon bought out Twitch, I distinctly remember the back and forth about, oh, well, this is great. They finally have some backing money and blah, blah, blah. And there was always the reasonable, yeah, well, what about when they try to squeeze you for money and put in ads and shit? And the inevitable kind of explanation away of that was, oh, no, they're not going to do that. Just trust them. They're not going to do that. And all the rest of us were like, And lo and behold, it's fucking happening. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. I don't like saying I told you so, but I told you so. But yeah, so this is just some typical shit, like, and there's always that kind of debate about, oh well, we'll just move to somewhere else. Oh, let's go move to YouTube and do whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, but not really any better over there.
Yeah,
And with
no.
the death of with the subsumption of Mixer into Facebook Gaming, well, there goes another possible avenue of things. On top of the gall that is, let's inject some unskippable video bullshit into a live stream where the liveness of the content is kind of the unique selling proposition of it, isn't it? So what
Yeah.
happened? Like, okay, so I don't really watch a whole lot of Twitch streams myself, despite streaming very often. But I 100% get the argument that if you're watching some like really gripping shit and people do some really awesome stuff on Twitch, and you get a fucking 1 minute ad at the worst possible time, how pissed are you gonna be for missing that moment that you then will have lost the entire impact of that moment to a fucking ad? I'd be pretty damn pissed.
Yeah.
So Twitch kneecapping itself for the entire thing that it is about, the live moment with this garbage, is just like, who thought this was a good idea? And obviously somebody counting the beans thought it was a good idea, or some higher up thought it was a good idea, or whatever. And maybe they are justified in thinking that, like, oh, we're going to go under unless we show 20 cents more revenue next quarter. Who knows?
It was someone who doesn't use the service, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and that's usually how it goes for a lot of this stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, it maybe looks good from a business perspective to do this stuff, but then it's like, well, there's also the thing called goodwill that you are burning hand over fist.
Yeah.
Twitch is really good at that.
Yeah.
You can't really buy that back.
So I don't know. Like, I don't know what the end game here is. Well, that's not true. I can predict what the end game here is, that there'll be a lot of shit fits as it is right now, and it'll eventually level off, and eventually I think people will forget. And then Twitch will do something else, and it'll repeat, and it'll repeat, and it'll repeat, and eventually we'll end up with, even though Twitch isn't great right now, we'll end up with something even far worse down the way. And we'll be like, oh no, there's no like real competition for it. So it's like, well, this is the best we got, so we got to keep using it, right? It's like
they're not going to gain, or they're not going to keep everyone. Like, even if they screw up, and then they're like, well, people just get used to it, and people do come back, but like not all of them will be back, and sooner or later they're going to just like only be left with the people who are like, I don't really care what Twitch is doing to my subscribers. But like, that's not really the kind of community that you want. You don't want to breed that kind of community at all.
Nope.
So the kind of the hilarious bit about this, and not hilarious haha it's funny bit, but the hilarious kind of oh it's really sad bit, is that I'm sure all three of us still remember the shit fit that everybody threw when they started trialing the mid-roll ads, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was only 2 months ago,
right? It wasn't even that long ago, and they trialed it for 2 days, 2 and change days, maybe 3 days at most, before they retracted it.
Internet threw a collective shit fit.
Hell yeah. And yeah, then they quote unquote listened and stopped doing that. Well, guess what's back?
Yeah.
Guess what's
and all
back?
that was like, it wasn't that they really just wanted to see if they could get away with it instead of like being genuinely apologetic. Like, you had to know that they went into this thinking like, okay, well, based on the kind of response we get, like, part of the plan is to pull out and find some other way to like slip it in. It's just,
yeah, and that didn't even come too far after they started doing pre-roll ads either. Like, that was more time ago, like 7-8 months or so.
Yeah, all they got to do is like selectively serve it to people so that they can, just like whenever there's discussion on the internet, some folks would be like, well, I saw ads, and someone else would be like, well, I'm not seeing ads. I don't see what the problem is, and you just get the community to like gaslight itself.
Right. Yeah. It's, I don't know. Like, the end game here is not good for anybody but Twitch.
Yeah.
Or alternative to amend that, anybody but Twitch and their huge ass money making partners. Because that's what they're focusing on here, is that they don't give a shit about small streamers. They don't even give a shit about their affiliates. And that's, I don't know, opinion or truth, take your pick. It's my opinion, and I'm an affiliate. And I have no problem saying that because I'm not gonna make any money off of this, really. Like I get a quarter of a penny maybe in advertising, and that ends up just pissing off my tiny ass viewership. So what's that worth to me? It's worth zero. It's worth less than zero. It's hurting. It's
That
an
is
absolute harm.
That is the main driver. I have a YouTube channel. I've had a YouTube channel since 2006. You know, I've uploaded like all of my music and stuff like that, you know, even a couple of like my popular tunes. And, you know, like they're constantly asking like, you know, on the page, you know, you can monetize this, right? Like you can sign up for monetization. And it's like, sure, and I'll make like 5 cents, you know, in a year. And, you know, it'll like piss off, you know, the thousands of people in a year that might visit this video. Like it is not worth that. So
oh wow, 1,000 people. Wow, I wish I had that.
yeah. It takes a while.
Yeah, it reminds me actually. Just the other day, I was posting one of my videos to YouTube because that's where I archive because Twitch is shit at archiving. And it got like a copyright thing or whatever for 2 minutes of an arcade game music or something. I'm like, you guys really want to claim copyright on that? Boy howdy, you can get your 0 cents off of my video, which has 2 views. Yeah, great, awesome. And to me, it's just the principle of the matter, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's like, is this really worth the time you're spending right now?
It isn't
to deal with this.
Well, anyways,
it's the principle of the thing.
I mean, it is. It kind of is. Like, I don't like if I stopped streaming or if I stopped putting stuff to YouTube, would they care? No, absolutely not. I'm not making them money, so they don't give a shit. I'd lose something cool to do, but they wouldn't give a shit. So, whatever.
Keep doing it, but stick it to everyone along the way.
Yeah, it's
that's what I do.
Just like whatever. We all see where this is going, and we've got no power to stop it. So whatever. I think I've waxed long enough about how Twitch is shitty. So either one of you two can proceed with your news.
I'll go ahead, Saxxon.
All right. So yeah, I guess I'll pull mine up. So WoW Shadowlands, and you know, I mention every time I'm a huge WoW player. Shadowlands was originally scheduled to come out last month, and that was an item that I covered the last I was on the show, but it got delayed. It's actually releasing on the 23rd of this month in November. And right after that, on the 1st of December, they're releasing the next tier of content on WoW Classic. That's caused a bit of frustration within the community because it's landing like right in the middle of that holiday stretch, you know, between like Thanksgiving and Christmas. Tons of new content, and you know, you're going to be dealing with all of this stuff around the holidays and having to like keep up on all that at the same time. So you know, it's been mentioned numerous times by fans like, hey, you know, maybe you should have waited until like after the new year or, you know, a bit later to do all this. And I guess there's like maybe like a Hearthstone thing that's dropping somewhere in there too. Like, you know, and there's also like some consideration for the employees are going to have to, you know, support all of this stuff all throughout this stretch of holiday season. It's going to be great. So, but those things are, you know, those are the things that are happening. So 10 days, new WoW expansion, that kind of thing. Speaking of that, there was a huge ban wave apparently. Well, maybe not a ban, but it's effectively a ban. You know, when your suspension date is 50 years in the future. Yeah, it's kind of weird for them to say, you know, to explicitly say that like you haven't been banned, but you've been suspended for 50 years. It was something obnoxious, like, you know, thousands of hours or something. But they were very vague about the explanation. You know, and it's entire guilds that were getting banned too, you know, and no one really knows why. It's you know, some quote like guild mechanics abuse, you know, and one of the Blizzard reps has said, you know, maybe it was abuse of game terrain, but it's always, you know, it's always maybe, right? You know, and they won't comment on like individual cases or anything like that. So there were inconsistent reports from, you know, the number of GMs and stuff from Blizzard. A number of these were overturned after determining that the ban was in effect in error. But many were not. So, you know, like you could try to, you know, disagree with it and, you know, take it up with the rep, and they might just be like, no, you're banned, and we're still not going to tell you why. So yeah, it's kind of left players confused. That's a thing that's been going on for since, I want to say, at least a day or two. So that's ongoing. I don't have anything further besides, you know, Blizzard is kind of stuck dealing with this right now, and so are the players. So yeah. And then a final item of Blizzard related news: Diablo 3 season 21 just ended, and season 2 is going to be, or I'm sorry, not season 2, season 22 is going to be launching on November 20th. So on top of all of the other WoW stuff and Hearthstone stuff, there's also Diablo 2 or 3 stuff. It's gonna bump up the number of things you can have in Kanai's Cube to 4, and you're gonna have like these little shadows that get spawned and do extra damage and follow you around and stuff like that. So there's some interesting new metas that kind of go with that. New ways to clear greater rifts, which is kind of like the end game content in Diablo 3. Yeah, so we're gonna see how all that goes in about a week.
So having not been terribly invested into the Diablo series myself, Diablo 3 season 22, that's not translating to one season per year, is that?
No,
Okay.
It's you'll have multiple seasons in a year, and
that still seems like a lot.
It is, yeah. I mean, Diablo 3's been around since, you know, 2012 now, so it's had a good number of years. I would say it's, you know, roughly three seasons a year, so, you know, it's split into thirds. But each season is also when they do like rebalancing of, you know, some of the item sets and classes, and so it's kind of like a defined time. It's also when like leaderboards reset and you get a fresh leaderboard for each season. So, you know, even though you might be immortalized for, you know, season 21, season 22 is totally, you know, it's a new landscape because it's the balance is all different, but they don't want to remove all the previous progress.
Enjoy the massive amount of effort you put in to get on this leaderboard, and then suddenly it's gone in the next season.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. I mean, you can always look at previous season leaderboards, but like, you know,
but who's
going to do that, right? So yeah, I managed to get on the hardcore non-seasonal leaderboard for Greater Rifts a month ago, and gosh, that game is, it's very easy to complete. It's very easy to get through. But just imagine like a difficulty slider that goes like easy, medium, hard, extra hard, and then like gives you another like 50 hards after that you can kind of select from. That's, you know, kind of what we're looking at for difficulty on that. So, but it's fun. It's something that I repicked up again recently. So, yeah. Moving away from Blizzard stuff now. And this is really exciting. As you know, someone who is really into like, you know, MS-DOS gaming and stuff like that. DOSBox Pure was announced. It's promising to be a more streamlined DOS gaming emulation experience. It's compatible with RetroArch. So yeah, you know, it'll fit in with that whole user interface. I've never used it myself, but this might be a reason for me to go and check it out, you know, and see what the deal is.
So never used it yourself, mening never used RetroArch or never used DOSBox?
Oh, RetroArch. I have absolutely used DOSBox.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
I mean, I haven't had much of a reason to with the real machine, you know, maybe like 10 feet away from you right now.
Right.
But
so like, just speaking from my experience with RetroArch, it's kind of hard to navigate. It's kind of hard to make sense of what's going on. I like configuring controls and shit for it is, would you like me to have a PhD before I do this? Or is that just kind of assumed? But the idea that now DOSBox is shoving essentially a core into RetroArch, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Like I like
Mhm,
the consolidation of it. Like DOSBox itself is a bitch to configure too.
It is,
Like
and even
here.
out of the box, it's not a particularly friendly thing. Like you have to read, you have to RTFM absolutely before you even get into DOSBox and making it useful. It's not like in most emulators where it's all like cool, just drag and drop the ROM in there, and then there you go.
Right.
Maybe you got to set up your joystick, but like it's the DOSBox is way more complex. And so what they've attempted to do with this one is make it so that you can like run entire games from like a zip file. Save states will be stored alongside the games. So it's going to operate close to what we expect from like a console emulator. But it will kind of take away all those complexities and just kind of be more of a like a friendly out of the box solution. So
Cool. I mean,
I can dig that.
as someone who doesn't have a full-on retro box sitting next to him with
yeah.
with actual hardware, that sounds pretty rad.
Hey,
I was
I mean,
gonna
the
say, same
RetroBox
though.
is it's still more complex to set up than DOSBox. I
Sure,
mean, with
sure.
DOSBox, you don't have to worry about, God, I have an IRQ conflict, and I'm gonna have to move some cards around between PCI slots, and this ISA card's not plug and play. So
Right. So yeah, power down, restart,
yeah,
etc. Yep. Mm-hmm.
it just all this wild stuff. So but yeah, it's great because I feel like DOS gaming is it is one of those things that is very memorable to people who experienced it when it was relevant. I feel like it's something that has felt kind of unapproachable to people who want to do retro gaming, but like to keep things a bit more simple. Consoles make it easy. DOSBox is not an easy thing, and so kind of
No, PC gaming, back then.
oh god,
Even
yeah,
now, still, it's kind of a bitch. But yeah,
yeah,
definitely back then when you're dealing with, IRQ this and DMA that,
yeah.
and your whole ISA card shit is like, damn, like who the hell would do this?
Mhm. Yeah, that's
And thus the TLAs were born.
Right? And it's just like, oh man, like even nowadays, it's like, well, Steam is a GD godsend, even though if it doesn't work 100% of the
oh yeah,
time, it's like, wow, all right.
Hey,
oh
I
yeah.
do like retro releases being made for specific games that include their own very specific DOSBox configurations because that makes it a little more approachable.
It does.
Yeah, if you download
Yeah.
any of the games from like the Apogee pack, for example, that has like Blake Stone or any of the Doom, like the classic Doom releases.
Yup.
I mean that's changed a little bit recently. I guess they also, you can also get like a source port with them. They did that with
Mhm.
Quake as well.
Mhm.
Quake comes with a different source port now. But you'll get the original game executables and you'll get the original DOS box, and the DOS box will be configured based on, whatever the developers felt like was a reasonable thing at the time, which is kind of nice. Like, if you've ever downloaded Doom and just straight up ran it from Steam, you've used it without realizing. But
Cool.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what RetroArch is trying to get around to doing for other DOS games that maybe are not available through Steam, or like you own them but you don't want to rebuy it through Steam. You can use your copy of it, that kind of thing. So
Right. Yeah. It sounds very much kind of like the approach that Valve and Steam are taking with Proton, right? Like
Mhm.
packaging it up, making it real easy, one click or one click plus some config or whatever, and
Yeah.
getting it to run. Which I even as somebody and all of us really, even as people who are very much steeped in that kind of, well, okay, we can tweak 20 bajillion different things and eventually get it to run to our satisfaction. I think that's still really, really positive.
Mhm. So yeah, really excited to see what comes of DOSBox Pure, and the release date on this one. And I'm going to quote the author Bernard Schelling here: "Coming in winter 2020, I hope." So
Very optimistic.
yeah, that's wow. You don't have very long before that happens. So.
You're right.
But and that the video that I linked you that details this is only like a couple days old, so a little bit of a tight timetable on that, but I'm really hoping that this becomes a success, and it's just going to be one of those, other convenient doors for, gamers of either the console, like who are brought up on consoles, or gamers of a new generation to check out, more older stuff without having to get too worried about the setup. So, moving on, Intel is selling off its NAND division for $9 billion to Hynix.
I suppose they needed some money now.
Yeah, that's. I imagine it's related to the AMD news that we are inevitably going to talk about.
I just had to throw some shade. That's all.
So much money.
Oh my goodness! Like Intel makes good SSDs. Like
they do. Their stuff is very good.
They are solid,
but
so to speak. But they needed money, and with so many competitors in the space, Intel must not have seen that like they're making the kind of profits that they're looking for, and the competition is fierce, and so they just decided, we're just gonna sell out of this market. However, they are going to continue developing and manufacturing Optane memory. So it's they haven't quite left out. They haven't quite left the storage, the storage market entirely. But you're probably not going to see Intel branded SSDs in the consumer market anymore. So,
well, supposedly that's being phased out over the course of a couple of years, though. I thought. Maybe I'm wrong.
I imagine that would have to be some kind of transition, but.
Yeah, I heard that it was going to be like a 3 or 4 year transition piece before the IP is completely over to Hynix and they won't see the name anymore.
Yeah, I mean they were a big player in the market, so it's not really surprising. But
yeah, sure.
So that's Intel's goings on. I don't really have anything else to say about Intel because not much is really happening in Intel land right now. It's all AMD being, just absolutely on fire with releases. And I thought I was going to go third, so I didn't write anything specific about AMD in my notes. But why don't we segue over
or whatever it's called?
We'll segue over to Tormod's notes.
Yeah, okay. So hi,
hello.
It's me, Tormod.
Hi, Tormod.
Hi.
Sorry, this isn't an AA meeting.
So, I'm not going to be for Vendetta this, but the 5th of November came and went. Zen 3, as expected, as everyone expected, sold out instantaneously. So, I did manage to get a 5800X like 2 days after launch because I ended up subscribing to nowinstock.net's Telegram channel for the Zen 3 processors. And I was just kind of like, okay, that's something. And actually, one sec.
Oof. Oh no. What is he doing?
It's real. It showed up.
Oh, well.
So, of course, you can't really see it because I have manual focus on because who doesn't want to see all my pores?
So who knows if it's real or not, or just a reasonable facsimile in a plastic case.
Wow, yeah, that is really
true.
Tormod. I mean,
yeah, right. I know, right? In any case, yeah, that showed up. The box is like 95% empty air with just this inside. It doesn't ship with the cooler unless you get a 58 or a 5600X rather. But
interesting. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah. I kind of figured that they would continue to ship. That was kind of their big thing the last couple generations.
It was, and of course, because it's still AM4, everything that you had before is still compatible, and people are like, "Well, this is probably like your 4th Zen processor now, so why give you another 8th Spire or whatever the heck it's called?" So
yeah, I imagine they do sell those separately, though, at the very least.
No.
Well, then what?
Well, they didn't in Zen 2 and earlier.
Okay.
That's why there's a big market for those on eBay for the people who don't use the stock coolers because they're RGB and they actually do a halfway decent job and people buy them because of the bling. Ugh. So I have like, I don't know, 6 of them, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. I think by the time you get to the level that those processors are at, people just naturally don't go stock anymore. Which
Yeah,
how
We're
can
so
you blame
used
them?
to like stock coolers being really crappy, and so you swap them out with, like we got really into all-in-one, all-in-one water cooler solutions,
Right?
which are really nice.
Yeah.
I'm
they
looking at
sure
you,
are.
Intel. Your shit OEM coolers.
I mean, like, if you're not overclocking, you're not buying top bin parts, the stock is probably enough. Probably. Probably.
Intervention required. Okay.
Hey, I didn't say I use them. I'm just saying for people at like the i3 and below, it's probably fine.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. If we're going to get a $250 mini ITX Dell that straps to the back of a monitor, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But moving on. So, okay, so I'm actually a little frustrated because the street date and time for the release of Zen 3 was supposed to be 8 a.m. Central on the 5th. And apparently, B&H decided to open their pre-orders at midnight. And fuck everyone else who didn't actually go and look the night before.
Womp.
I happened to find a thread on Now in Stock because of people posting stuff because it's now in stock. That said, hey, so everything's still available for pre-order, but you better get in here soon. So I ended up pre-ordering a 5950X at like 7:42 a.m. Of course, this is again before it's supposed to go live. And I had tabs open for Best Buy and whatever else, Amazon, I think one other place, but yeah, no, that was impossible. Firstly, they didn't actually go live exactly at the second like most product launches do on websites. No, they decided to put it at a random time. And of course, they also didn't do captchas or anything there, so people got proper fucked by bots again.
Oh yeah.
You think you'd learn from Nvidia's folly? Come on.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm in line for a 5950X from B&H, and that's really interesting, and I'm not sure if it's good or bad. So apparently, the people who pre-ordered the 5900 and the 5950 from B&H before they actually took the pre-order ability down because they sold thousands ahead of time because they don't have stock. They started emailing people saying, hey, your expected shipment date is April 7th or something
Undefined.
like that. Yeah, NAN. And almost everybody who ordered a 5900X received that. It is, to my knowledge, the most popular SKU because it's a good balance between cores and cost. And people are calling, again, the 5800X the why is this even a SKU processor between 56 and 59? And I mean, it's the only one I can get, so shut up.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the 5600 is
is banging.
It is. It's just as awesome as say like the 3600 was for like a budget option.
Yeah, exactly. And it's still on top of the i9.
I'm guessing that's the 8-core variant, the 5600, right?
6?
Really? That's a 6?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
It's 6 or 8. I know that this one, the 5800X, is 8, but maybe it's the 105 watt TDP version of the same thing. I'm sure I'll
Could be. All right. I thought it was like 16, 12, 8, and then
this one
below
is
that, really.
Yeah, the 5600X is a 6-core part.
Okay, cool. Yes, I was right. Maybe? No, I wasn't. Oh, no. Okay, so they didn't have a 700 series this time around, which is where the lower TDP 8-core would have been.
Yeah.
So they also released all of them with the X suffix this time. There is no just like 5600. So,
which, like when I was parting out a budget box for a friend, who is never going to overclock it anyway, like I was explicitly looking for like the non-X parts. And that's how we ended up on the 3600. Like, just
the 3600 is a fucking amazing deal for what it is. Yeah, no, that I would definitely thumbs up that idea. Like, The XT ones are pretty cool. Not sure they're worth the $50 fee just to get better bin chips for the
Yeah.
non-XT versions, but
Right.
Most reviewers say not really.
Yeah,
Because even if
no.
you get a really good bin one, it's not like a huge percentage increase.
No, I mean, at most it might run cooler, which is, I guess,
Yeah.
fun, less energy and stuff. But regardless, I'm rambling at this point. So yeah, the 5800X is what I have. I never got an email for my pre-order for the 5950. I just didn't.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, I got the
Amazing.
hey, you paid money and thank you for your money, and it's on pre-order email, but I didn't get a follow-up email from their customer service rep who's been like nonstop emailing everybody who ordered everything with dates and stuff. So I'm just kind of like, maybe it'll show up this month. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. Like, I'm excited for it because it's going to get, well, I'll talk about RDNA 2 next, but single core performance for Zen 3, including the 5600X, trumps Intel's entire lineup for desktop and, prosumer CPUs right now.
Even the
Okay.
top line 10900s, really?
Yeah, it's throwing blows and
Huh.
it's generally on top.
All right.
So people are like, hey, 5600X is just fine for me. But then they started releasing, of course, the other SKUs in the presentation that Lisa had. And then there was, of course, the one more thing, which is the 5950. 16 cores, 32 threads, has the crown in everything. Surprisingly, it's actually better at single threaded performance than the 5900, which was not the case in Zen 2. The 3950 had a bit of a single core dip compared to the 3900, and people are saying, hey, get the 3900 if you want to play games, because things are still
Naturally.
not terribly optimized for multi-threaded applications. So in any case, a lot of games are starting to get into the multi-threaded stuff. The 5950X is pushing ahead a lot. And when it's paired with one of the new RTX 3000 series GPUs or the RDNA 2 that I'm going to talk about right now, it gets pretty interesting. So RDNA 2 is, most people know, is Big Navi. They had their presentation, and the rumors were true. Just going to have the moment of silence there so that it kind of sinks in. For once, the rumors were true. So
Which rumors?
the rumors that it actually could compete with the 3000 series cards.
Okay.
So we have the 3070, which is starting to become available sort of after delays. The 3080, which good luck still getting one because like it's been gone since launch. And the 3090, which I have no idea how I ended up with. Just no clue how I got that order through on Best Buy, but okay, sure. So I have a 3090. So AT&T, wow. AMD did their presentation for RDNA 2, and the 6800 XT is as good, if not better, than the 30 or 3080. And then the 6900 nice XT showed up, and at least for the titles that were shown there, which are AAA titles and those that have good benchmarks for modern stuff, was as good or better than the 3090 for $500 less.
So on that point of kind of the cost, just to be clear on the context of this, when the 3090 released, that was what, $1,500, right?
Yeah.
So the 6900 XT, nice,
Nice.
is now clocking in at $1,000.
Yes.
That's still a lot of money for
it is. Yes.
a piece of silicon, right? Like,
Yeah.
woo, wow, that's 2/3 of the cost of my current rig.
So, okay, the 6000 series cards are using GDDR6, not X, just I believe it's just GDDR6.
And not HBM.
It's not HBM2,
which is kind of bizarre for AMD's side, right?
Right. And I'm real curious to see what else they decide to do with the maturity of the die when they release their next half release cards, whatever. But
Mhm.
in any case, it's real curious because these performance numbers are coming from a card that has 2/3 the RAM of the 3090. So it only comes with 16 gigs of RAM. 3090 has 24. So also interestingly, the
Mhm.
hardware between the 6800 XT and the 6900 XT is very similar. It has the same amount of RAM. It just has less shader units and a slightly different clock. Um,
So you're paying $500 more for
8 gigs of RAM.
which seems like
Enthusiast premium.
yeah,
That's
a small difference in hardware, which
You're
okay,
buying
AMD.
a couple square inches of Jensen's leather jacket. I don't know.
He didn't ask for this.
what?
I don't know, man. Um,
Oh boy, there's
So-
several levels of that joke going on there.
Trying to-
Hilarious. Hilarious.
Trying to process that one.
Right?
yeah, it's a nice pun.
Yikes.
So regardless, so the staggered release of the 60 or the 6000 series cards is kind of similar to what Nvidia did a little bit because 3070 was so delayed. But the release date, the only one that I really think about right now, because I kind of want to compare these side by side. The 6900 XT release date is the 8th of December.
Huh.
Interestingly, exclusively on the X570 platform. Rage.
Excuse me? Like, how does that? What? Still PCIe, ain't it? How is it exclusively on the X570?
So, exclusively to the X570 chipset, there is the ability for the CPU to access the memory on the 6000 series GPUs directly. Yeah. So it can do all sorts of interesting things.
That sounds bad. That
Is
sounds
that
bad.
not what we were doing back when like AGP was new?
Rage.
Which is also where which also debuted on AGP, I think.
This doesn't
Rage.
sound,
Rage.
doesn't sound
Yes.
good at all.
So
but
Rage is
alright.
coming back. I'm not going to get into all of the specifics because it's actually kind of fun to watch the demos for it. Yeah, just yeah. We'll go ahead and have you look at that stuff, but specific to the X570 chipset, the integration between the CPU and the GPU is quite tight.
It just
So-
it just strikes me as being like a blast processing type of marketing.
yeah.
Like it
And
just
like Omega Weapon said, it only affects the frame rates a little bit, but there are some other features that I forget the names of already because I just haven't been watching much lately because it's been thoroughly explained by all of the tech tubers. Go out and watch stuff
Sure,
from Gamers
right,
Nexus
naturally.
and whatnot. But I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting. They did some benchmarks, at least I think some benchmarks were released where those modes were not turned on. I could be wrong. I know that tech tubers haven't gotten their hands on the cards yet. As soon as they do and the embargo is lifted and all that other stuff, which AMD's been doing embargo lifts on the same day that products have been launching, so that's a thing. We're probably not going to see yeah, we're not going to see a whole bunch of stuff until the 8th of December, at least for the 6900 XT. But in any case, I'm really excited for it. I hope I can actually get my hands on one. I really want to see what AM4's last hurrah can pull off. I have an X570 board. It has pretty decent VRMs. It's the Crosshair 8 Hero. They actually just came out with the Crosshair 8 Dark Hero, which actually removes the need for the CPU fan and gives substantially better VRMs.
interesting.
So, yeah, and also a darker, literally dark
Right,
themed
yeah.
board and whatnot. But
Good names.
in theory, that's going to be released soon. I haven't really looked at it since last week when people are like, maybe Friday. I don't know. But if you're interested in the Zen 3 CPUs, obviously you're going to want to upgrade your BIOS before you do anything. Make sure that your motherboard can support it. Because Yeah, you're going to be sorely disappointed if you have an A series motherboard and you don't have firmware support for it and your machine just doesn't post. Good luck
Yeah.
returning a processor that probably works. So yeah, of course, upgrade your BIOS, get everything all hunky dory, you know.
I
Re-gamer
Hmm.
despise.
Texas.
Yeah, right.
Oh hell yeah, you actually got one?
Nice.
I got 2, and I got one for me, and I got one for you.
What
So
Oh,
you-
nice.
the next
what the
time
heck
that you're up
actually
here,
is that though?
it's kind of like a so you know at bars you see the thing where they
Oh
you put
yeah.
drinks on and you
Yeah.
over them. That's what these are, and this thing is
I'm really
incredible.
excited.
That's
rubber.
ridiculous.
So yeah, next
Yeah,
time
no, it's
you're up
really
here
good.
in Wisconsin, you're gonna pick yours up. So
Okay, sweet. That's actually really cool. So, if you haven't seen these before, actually head over to Gamers Nexus and have a look at their store. So, this thing it's a bar mat because, you put the drinks on it and the condensation falls in, but it also has a bunch of other really interesting stuff on it. And because you have these little components in the rubber, you can like put screws and stuff in there and not lose things. It's so really cool.
that's the really cool part about this because like if I bend it, you can kind of see where the contours are.
Yeah, they actually like 3D modeled the thing in Blender
Oh my god.
and then actually had it made. It's
This thing
really
is
cool.
it's actually nuts.
For the
They also
crossover
have
bartender PC enthusiast crowd, which is probably a
Well,
just
yeah,
like straight up
they sell
circle.
pint glasses too.
I was going to
with the
say,
gold
hi,
rim.
are you the poster child of that? Or
Yeah, maybe. Like if there's a Venn diagram, it's just one circle.
yeah, exactly. Orb. Anyway, so not to completely just whore out Gamers Nexus stuff, but they also have a really interesting, how do I explain it? It's like an X-Acto knife pad, except it has like a bunch of really interesting tech facts on it, and it has conversions and diagrams and stuff, and it's just really interesting. And I like that kind of stuff.
Sizes and
So
measurements and
Hee
stuff.
hee ha ha.
yep. So anyway, I'm gonna move on. I've been talking a lot. So,
Good. Please.
Tetris Effect Connected was released for PC and Xboxes. So if you're familiar with the name Tetris Effect, it was released on PS4 and PC via the Epic Game Store. Boo hiss.
No wonder I didn't get it yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like wondering why
it
the
is-
hell haven't I played this yet? That's right, EGS. Okay.
Yeah, so I was going to buy it on PS4, but then I forgot. So this is actually really convenient. So
Amazing.
the connected version obviously allows you to play against other players and whatnot. It will eventually come as an upgrade to those who own the original Tetris Effect on those other platforms in the summer of 2021. For those of you who play Tetris and are familiar with the word guideline, it is guideline Tetris. It is not like TGM's rotation system and things like that, so I'm probably going to get thoroughly fucked over when I try. There is a mode in there where it's a classic marathon mode where there is no hard drop and there is no piece holding, and that'll just make me real happy because I don't want to learn those things.
But wait, which was it?
TGM2 Tap
2
introduces those things.
Okay, I was about to say, doesn't TGM have piece holding in previews and shit like that?
It
Okay.
does, and
Yeah.
I haven't graduated to Tap yet. Now I actually do own a board for that, and I don't know if I actually shared that. I ended up
Oh, you found
purchasing
one, huh? Nice.
I did, and I actually got boards from a world record holder in France. So yeah, Culex, who is just obscenely good at the game. Obviously being world record material and whatnot,
Right.
had extra
Yes.
boards for TGM1 and Tap, and he ended up seeing me post on Twitter months ago and ended up DMing me well after the fact. And he was just kind of like, hey, I might be able to help you out. And then just in conversation was all like, oh yeah, I have this Tap board that I was intending to use for tassing at one point and just never got around to it. So, I mean, if you want it, we can just buy them both and ship them both at the same time. And I got a real good deal.
Incredible.
That is awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah, I definitely paid prices from like 4 years ago. So yeah, I'm super enthused. I ended up doing one stream of TGM1, which I guess is what I played this last month. So there, I can get that over with.
Spoilers.
I know. But it was nice to get back. I got into 20G like 5 or 6 times. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I was able to buy that stuff. haven't played guideline stuff in a long time. I wanted to get back into Nestris because there's this category
Oh,
where you
Oh,
don't
no.
rotate
come.
and you have to see how many lines you can get. And the
Oh.
record's like 28. And I'm just kind of like, I want to do
mean,
this.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I'm just kind of like, this is actually kind of novel and the stupid shit that I would do. So I want to do that. Speaking of guidelines, so now I'm just thinking, oh, maybe I should get back into guidelines / playing Tetris DX and trying to get my 40 line time down. Anyway, so in any case, Tetris Effect Connected was released for PC and Xboxes because it's
Multiple
whatever.
generations, I
Yeah.
presume. Yeah.
And they all have S and X and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I bought it on PC and I was kind of thrilled to see that the Xbox Series X, I think that's the name, showed up yesterday at my doorstep. So I'm hoping that I can play it on both platforms. That'll be fun. Speaking of Xbox I guess, the
I like that
series,
one.
right? The Series X, Pipe S, whatever, and PS5 were both released.
This week.
People who got their pre-orders in ended up getting their shipments this week. The PS5 box has a handle.
Good grief.
So
oh my god.
it's actually kind of interesting. Like if you want to take it places, you just put it back in the box and you got a little carrying
okay.
handle.
Oh, I misread that line then. I thought it meant the actual physical PS5 had a handle.
no,
built into
no.
it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That
too.
would be fucking wild.
I said box. I said box.
You did, but box could be like the chassis of the console, so it's like,
It's
Okay,
when
no.
we're talking about the Xbox, are you talking about the console or the package it comes in?
the Xbox Series Xbox.
Oh god damn it!
Oh, no, that goes
so
way
Vlad and I
beyond
were
that,
talking about
right?
the Xbox box, the Xbox box, and
Yep.
then the box that the Xbox box
Yep,
shipped in. So it's the Xbox box.
Boxes of Xboxes box. God,
Yeah,
so stupid.
we had way too good of a time just going down that road and not regretting it.
Yeah.
Didn't last long, but there you go. So of course, the X-Pipe S is Microsoft's largest console release ever. Big surprise. They don't want to release like actual numbers yet, but supposedly it just blew the Xbox One and the 360 out of the water so far.
So largest as in numbers or largest as in physical size or both?
I mean, volume-wise, it's smaller than the original Xbox. I'm fairly certain, but yeah, I'm fairly certain it is because I mean, like the top has maybe 180 millimeter fan. That's like the entire width and depth, I guess.
Yeah. As an aside, definitely check out Modern Vintage Gamers teardown video for the new Xbox. It's
actually
it is really well constructed on the inside. I really like it.
And people are trying to fake hardware failures by blowing vape smoke up through it.
I did see that entire thing.
Dumb.
Why would you do that? No, forget I asked. I know why people did it.
There, I did it. You happy, Omega Weapon? There.
Come on. Oh my god.
I had to.
We have fun here, apparently.
We do. I'm like trying to talk and laugh at the same time. It just doesn't work. But I also have the PS5. I haven't actually had time to unbox that yet. But I also received a fan the same day, so it's like the same thing, right?
Wait, what? Oh, like a fan related to the PS5 or just a fan, period?
So, a joke about the PS5's visual design is that it looks like a tower fan.
Oh. I don't remember that meme going around, but yeah, okay, I can see it.
Okay, yes, yeah. Just go search that and you'll get tons of image macros. I'm going to call them that instead of memes. So,
showing your age.
Anyway. All right, anyway. Like way too much.
An image macro.
All right, I get it.
But not all memes are image macros. I understand.
Stop that.
Whiskey,
Scotch, whiskey, whatever.
Now I want both.
Yeah.
Oh, but I can get bourbon. I'm in. Yeah, anyway. Whatever. Tennessee whiskey, Kentucky bourbon, whatever. Fuck.
Yeah, right? Okay, yeah, all right.
Whatever. Don't care. All right, so are we done with this now?
Was that your last news item? Then yes, we are done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go on to some Toonskis.
Okay, Toonskis.
All right. Well, I'll keep talking then. So,
Yes.
Transcendent Discovery by Rebecca E. Tripp and Nabil Ansari from Final Fantasy 13.
And a remix from Battletoads and Battle Maniacs entitled Toadwise by Maze Dude.
And I've got a remix titled Digital Illusions from the game Pinball Dreams by Dark Sim.
Okay, I'm not waiting the remaining 3 seconds of fade out there. That was unhearable.
Yeah.
Just unhearable.
They just wanted to make sure that if you were listening to this at like, jet engine levels, you still had a smooth fade out at the end.
Right? I guess it's extra meep insurance, so whatever.
Right.
Whatever. All right, so we are on to segment 2 then tonight. What's everybody been playing? I hope everybody has at least one this time, right? Like
Yeah,
2020 hasn't been that bad.
Can I actually like share the things?
Yeah.
Finally?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Okay, cool. So I've been playing this. It's gonna be reverse, but that's okay. Oh, you fixed it. Cool. So this is that game.
I see.
Yeah. So how's it going?
I mean, it's a little bit cut a little bit because I had to do the weird camera.
Wait, are you
dope-ops,
actually playing this on?
Oh yeah, no, this is great.
Oh my
I
god.
get to do stupid shit like this all the time now. This is what you enabled me to do.
Okay, well, if you're gonna do this, I'm gonna expect GM ranks here. So
Yeah, well, we'll find out. I don't know. What can I tell you about this game? It was a game that was made by Eureka in 1998. It was released for arcade, and if you play it on stream, they'll come after you if you don't have real hardware.
Oh, so
Wait,
speaking
that's a
of,
stipulation?
is there some disclaimers I'm gonna have to put on this after the fact for you to be playing this?
I mean, if I were popular, maybe.
Fair.
But no, hey, I can turn my camera and show you the actual legit hardware that I'm playing this on. So there you go. But yeah, I just I'll get to 200 real quick and call it good. But yeah, this is TGM. This is the thing that I've been talking about forever that maybe you haven't seen. I'm playing this on a super gun, and that essentially allows you to hook up an arcade board to PC hardware, including a joystick and an ETX power supply and things like that. Hey, I unburied myself at the right time.
Good work.
So yeah, this is the stuff that Eon would normally play at marathons because she's actually good at the game. But yeah, I'm gonna just do that. So how y'all doing?
So actually, there was a relevant question I had based on this. You were talking about guideline Tetris earlier in terms of Tetris Effect. What is Tetris 99? Is that guideline Tetris as well?
That's my understanding. I haven't actually played it yet. Oh, this is real bad.
Yeah, it's
cool.
not
We're just
good.
gonna unfuck that. YOLO. Let's just play really badly.
Wow,
this is like when
right.
I'm actually streaming.
You getting to 200 there, or?
Oh, we're good. Oh my God. You just got to get real creative with the line clears there. So you just witnessed a dirty triple.
Just have
that's
to
my stupid names for shit.
Yes,
You just
everybody.
have to pretend that you're doing really badly, but you knew what you were doing the whole time.
We
Yeah, I
are
know.
paid
This is
by the
the
hour here,
suspense.
so get ready for this stuff.
Yeah, right. We're getting there. Oh, hey, grade 1 by now is actually really good. So my benchmark for having a fairly decent run start is to get S1 at the 200 mark, and that's not a common thing. So whatever. All right, there's that eyepiece. Thank you.
Just need a second one to round out that Tetris.
Up.
And
hey,
there we go.
There
You
we
got
go.
200. Very good.
Yeah, cool. So I'll go ahead and get my normal video back up here.
Wow.
But I'm playing a video game inside of a screen, and I am a Tetris game. So, okay, let me unheck my audio here, and we're cool.
You're a Tetris game.
You are
I am
still
a
Tetris
Tetris
game, though.
Well, I at least got the audio out of there, but cool. All right,
there
cool.
we are.
Hi, it's me.
Human form has returned.
All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and turn this off now. Oh, yeah, we're good.
Oh, but you had such a good run going.
Yeah,
it was
before
okay.
you get your room up.
But in any case, yeah, I was like, hey, I could do this while we were on break, and then I did it. So it was cool.
I knew this was a mistake to introduce more video feeds.
Hey,
if you're gonna let Tormod get away with this,
hey, this was not discussed earlier. Now that I know it could be a possibility, I will have a quick kill switch ready.
Hey, we can always do a gaming showcase. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, whatever. I mean,
if we're doing, we could do like an Extra Life thing like this or something. Who knows?
I mean, that would actually be kind of fun. I mean, we did try to do something when we were grinding for affiliate on the ZHP account where we were like playing 2 games at the same time and just kind of alternating the audio and stuff. That was kind of fun.
I think it's-
That's when you were playing like the random ROM hacks off the SNES cartridge.
Oh, that
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
that wasn't
that
an affiliate grinder. That was just testing out for marathon stuff.
Well,
That was a
yeah, but the only thing that we needed at that time was just more hours during the month.
Oh, I
So
guess
we
that's
were
true.
just streaming for the hell of it.
Well,
so-
yeah, see how much that paid off.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we got it. Not that we really do anything. Hey, we have emotes.
Right?
So, wow. Anyway,
Woohoo! Fuck you,
hey,
Twitch.
emotes are cool. Shut up.
I mean, whatever. So,
All
okay,
right, I had my
TGM. That's what you got?
That's what I got.
I was all like, oh dang,
Very
it's gonna
good.
take a while to get through this list.
No, it's fine.
Oh, don't worry about it.
All right, who wants to go next?
I could go next.
Go
Mine's
for it.
mine's gonna be relatively short. It's a lot of this stuff is stuff I've played before. Some of it I haven't. So of course, World of Warcraft Classic. I still am not ready to go back to retail.
But I thought you were giving it up.
No.
For Thanksgiving.
Clearly.
I gave up retail. Let's see. We also got Heretic, which is a Doom Engine based game from Raven Software. And that one I eventually want to get to the point where I can do speedruns on it. I feel like Heretic and its sequel Hexen are kind of underrepresented as far as like Doom Engine games go, and would love to get some time in on those. I've been playing Forsaken on the Retro PC, and that is gosh, it's like Descent, but it's not. It's Descent if it didn't take itself
Oh,
seriously.
yeah. I think I have Forsaken Remastered on my list of shit to stream. Actually, yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's
I'd have to do a side by side.
It's a really outstanding game, and I'm running it on the best version possible, which is on Windows 98 with.
I was waiting for Emmy.
Oh,
Yep.
yuck. No, he said best.
I know.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it is actually Emmy, but
What?
so I did just start dual booting Windows ME and Windows 2000 on.
Okay,
on
you're forgiven.
What?
Yeah.
Why though? Why? What does ME have that 2000 does not cover?
so there's a
9X
number of
support?
games. Yeah,
But
it's
why
9X
not use 98 then? Like,
Okay, that's a fair question.
Yeah.
because so I was asking myself the same question, and I wanted to answer the question, without like the biases and stuff that the internet had. Because there's a lot of articles out there that say, well, Windows ME is bad because it crashes all the time. Well, what about it crashes? Well, no one can answer that because it's a whole bunch of hearsay. So I just wanted to try that out for myself. Not only has Windows ME not crashed for me like at all, it's actually been more stable than 98.
Wow.
I use
Press X to
a
doubt.
PS2 based mouse. The mouse is smoother and is read on a faster interval than Windows 98. So like all of my Windows gaming is a lot smoother. Not something that people talk about. I didn't see it mentioned in any articles or anything like that, but it's something that I've noticed. If you're
Better
using a
polling.
mouse, yeah, it's so there's that. It starts up faster than 98, which it's not loaded down with all the DOS stuff. If I do want to do DOS things, I actually have a boot floppy that all it does is, I have DOS installed on the hard drive, and so the boot floppy just boots into DOS, and stuff like that. So it's like I have a system that can do all of that.
So is that DOS 7 or 6.2?
So the one that I have is DOS 7. Because I needed FAT32 support, and Windows 6.2 does not natively support FAT32. And because of the size of drives that I'm using, I kind of need it. So
LBA.
I'm trying to imagine if esports were a thing back in the Windows 9X days, and when the selling point for Windows ME being faster mouse polling rates, so you can pwn your enemies or something like that.
Yeah,
that would be wild.
That would have sold.
I know, but that's the sad part about it.
Yeah, there's some hidden improvements in Windows ME and stuff
Wild.
like that.
Just wild.
And it's, I'm not having a bad experience with it at all. The only thing is like I can't configure it to like selectively boot into DOS, which I mean, like, I'm not really missing out much since I have a boot disk anyway. So I feel like a lot of the problems were like third-party drivers and stuff like that, which I'm using all hardware that Windows ME had drivers for anyway. Like this one of these network cards that I got actually. The 10100 cards from Intel, rock solid. The only thing that I really got to install drivers for are like the NVIDIA card and the 3DFX Voodoo, which the community had to hack up drivers for. And of course, since it's not a company and it's a community whipping these things up, they're going to be absolute sticklers about shit not crashing. So, yeah, just for whatever reason, it's been better than 98. I couldn't tell you why. It just, it doesn't crash. It runs great. It starts fast, and the mouse is great. So,
all right, cool. Time to throw that in a VM.
I mean, admittedly, my personal experience was jumping from 98 to XP. So I never had really any experience with 2000 or ME at that point when it was out.
I'm still going to argue
pretty fast, and it's probably the best looking of the classic Windows OSs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to argue if someone can find a way to modernize Windows 2000 so that it supports modern security protocols and Wi-Fi and stuff like that, fuck yeah, I'd drop Windows 10 in a heartbeat to burn that thing. So Windows 2000 was my aesthetic.
Unofficial Service Pack 5 does some of that. Which what they've done is they've taken like Windows files from later versions of Windows, like Windows XP and Vista, and like stuffed them, like the 32-bit versions, back into Windows 2000.
Hey, I mean, if it works.
So,
I mean, give me TLS 1.2 support, and that's the majority of the web.
Yeah. So,
or is it 1.3 now? I don't remember.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, 1.3 is the latest one, but I mean, like a lot of them will support lower versions than that, like
yeah, they do.
1.0.
Yep. They shouldn't.
Ding, 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 ding.
They will.
They shouldn't.
Because that someone out there is like, I can't open this website with Internet Explorer 8.
Oh.
Internet Explorer 5.5.
Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with browsers, but with databases.
Gross.
Yeah. Yeah, it is gross, isn't it?
It turns out that Internet Explorer 6 is as far as you can go on Windows 2000 and Windows ME. They cut them both off at the same time.
But at least you can get to Service Pack 1.
Yes, Service Pack 1 is as far as I can go with that. So,
I mean, you can probably run builds of Firefox.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, there's a kernel. There's something called kernel X.
Oh yeah.
Allows you to bypass some of the version checks in Windows and also emulate some of the newer like kernel behavior. So what happens is, you can run newer versions of programs and stuff on that old kernel, but like there's only so much the emulation covers.
Sure.
But I was able to run Firefox with it. I can run those crappy DOSBox Inno Unpack or Inno installers on my RetroBox now, which have version checks for Windows XP because you can't install good old games on anything older than XP apparently.
So okay, I know that Halloween came and went, but here's something scary for you.
Oh no.
Win32 API emulation. Sorry. You got to think about it because they're re-implementing a bunch of kernel calls, and I have to imagine that it's targeting APIs that don't exist.
I guess.
I mean, some of it is just it wraps into other calls that do exist, but like there isn't like a Unicode version of it. So
sure.
Yeah.
Translate between Unicode and regular characters and crap like that. Like that's a lot of it. But yeah, some of it is just like straight up doesn't exist. Your application's gonna crash. Sorry.
Womp.
So, but yeah, that's so that's how I've been running Forsaken, and I gotta say it's a lot of fun. It's a tough game, and honestly, it feels like a faster paced version of Descent, which I'm really into. Like Forsaken is a fast game when you can play it with hardware that allows you to play it at 60 FPS plus. So that's outstanding.
You got some VODs for us?
You know, I have not been streaming Forsaken, but I feel like I should.
Sorry, something in my throat there.
But yeah, I've been streaming other games, just not Forsaken. So
fair enough.
But
anything other than WoW?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
So the next game on my list is a Commodore 64 game called Fantasy, spelled Phantasie.
Whoa! All right, you had me until the IE part.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why, but maybe it was substituting letters. I guess was a cool thing back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Surely was.
Mm-hmm.
So Fantasy is it's an RPG. It's you kind of build a group of 6 adventurers. You recruit from the local guild. Pick out adventurers that you have the kind of stats and class makeup that you're looking for, and then you venture out, go into dungeons, roam around, fight some monsters, die a whole shitload, have to start over. That kind of game.
The good rogue experience.
What's old is new again.
And if your characters die, there isn't any way to resurrect them unless you drag their corpses back to town.
What? Nuzlocke? Oh wait, no, that's different.
But if your entire party dies, then you can't do anything about it. So don't let that happen. And yeah, so it's kind of slow paced. They don't there's a lot of load time. It doesn't have a fast loader on it. It's very it's got a very indie vibe to it, which I kind of like. It's not polished by any stretch, but it's still all the mechanics.
Hey, I mean, if it's fun.
So when I say indie, in combine that with not polished, I'm talking 80s indie software. Okay. So it's not.
So it's shareware.
Well, before the time of shareware, it's
exchanging cassettes type. That age.
It's kind of someone designed this as it kind of appeared to be a grandeur thing, but you would normally find this in the bargain bin of cassettes, which was a real thing. There were games back in the day that were made specifically to be placed in the bargain bin. It's all we're just gonna make a 5 or 10 pound game or whatever, and just kind of stuff it in the bin, and just hope someone is all they're there for the AAA title that they want, but then they have a couple extra bucks to spend and they want to add some value, or the retailers are if you buy this game, you can maybe just grab something out of this bin, whatever, and just take it home with you. And so
that's how I ended up with Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
There you go.
Okay.
Mystic Quest is not a bad game, though.
It's not, but I got it for $15 out of the discount bin at Walmart when I was 10.
Yeah. So it's definitely a game that lacks polish, but has the same sort of charm as someone had sort of developed this as out of their wild imagination, and I really like it. I feel it's also a game that it's not the easiest to find information about, or find footage, or even just complete walkthrough footage. So what I want to do is I want to stream exploring that game, and start to finish, and just kind of do that. I want to do that with a lot of computer RPGs from back in the day, especially on the Commodore 64, which had a lot of really good ones that aren't Ultima that people don't really talk about. So
yeah, that would be stuff I'm interested in. So yeah, you should probably advertise that more so I can see it.
Do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll when I make up a schedule, I'll cover those. So
look at you and your professionalism.
I know, right?
What is this schedule of which you speak?
Oh, I don't have one for my sleep, but I will have one for a stream.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh no, this became too real suddenly. How dare you?
Yeah, so
first me in my needing to go to bed at reasonable times.
Right. So yeah, the stream schedule is going to be a courtesy for everyone else.
Fair enough.
So yeah, there's that. I also I got back into Celeste. I want to finish the damn game. I got past the roadblock that I hit in the
Cool.
Summit B-side, because it's long and they throw everything at you, and I was stuck at number 7 in the Summit for like hours and hours. And then
Wait, wasn't that where I like saw you play last?
Yup, same place.
Okay. So that was back in May.
Yeah, and I've been picking at it on and off, and I'm all like, I just like um it's taken me so long, and then just on I just decided to sit down one day, and I'm like, I'm probably not gonna really accomplish anything, but I was waiting for something or other, and
I'm
just
gonna
looked up
fail.
yeah, and I grabbed it and I made it through stage 7 the first shot, and I'm like, well, I'm putting this down because like I
And
want
we're
to
done.
celebrate this shit. Yeah, like I'm not going to try and ride that wave. We're just gonna
Oh
we're just gonna
no,
leave
but
it
that's
at
the best time to ride that wave.
that, right?
Like, you gotta leverage that adrenaline, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
You gotta
then
do
I
that one more.
Well, I'm gonna have to do that again with number 3. So I'm really close to the Summit. I just, I got the last few things in that B-side to do, and then I can finish that up.
Have you
And then I get to do
experienced
core.
have you experienced the redacted sides yet?
No, no, I haven't. I haven't even gotten to the
Nah. Sorry.
Yeah. Spoilers, I haven't gotten to the C-side.
Yeah.
What are we laughing about?
Oh,
It's redacted.
I'm laughing about the redacted. Exactly.
Ah.
Am I going to suffer?
Mm.
I don't have all of the technique down. I'm just learning, like, oh my goodness, like dash cancels and stuff like that. So
So then I'm
Next.
guessing you haven't gotten to the farewell chapter then?
I did.
Oh, okay.
That
okay.
was a pain in the ass. Like, that
Ooh,
is
it surely is.
it is that I felt was more difficult than all of the B-sides that I had played up until that point. It felt like all that I had learned, plus the B-side stuff, plus like refining all of my movement technique, was being challenged by that chapter, and I
Yep.
spent months doing it.
There's a
And,
reason why the speedrun that includes that is easily double length of all of the rest of it.
it took forever, but gosh, like just like every other part of Celeste, you feel incredibly accomplished when you make it through, and the end just also like just tore me to pieces too.
Mhm, yeah. Oh shit, feels. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So if you've seen it, you know exactly you know exactly what I'm talking about, and if you haven't, you really need to play through it, because it's an incredibly touching moment. So
Hey, by the way, game news, and I'm surprised that you didn't mention this. Celeste's creator this week has mentioned and confirmed that Madeline is trans.
right on.
So Maddie Thorson just decided to post something saying, I've wanted to say this for a long time, just couldn't, and now I can. So that was really cool to read.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
an extremely personal journey of creator and character. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. A lot of us have been making that out, have been calling that allegory out for a long time.
Right?
So
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. So
it's like, okay, now it's canon,
Yep.
which is really outstanding. So yeah. And then, of course, I mentioned, I've been playing a bit of Diablo 3. I'm trying to get on to as many leaderboards as I can. I ended up getting on the hardcore leaderboard for whatever reason, because maybe fewer people play it, or I got lucky. I don't know. Hardcore is a mode in Diablo 3 where if you die, your character is deleted. It's really just, when you start getting into the really difficult end game content, it's so easy to just get cheated out of a character and just have them explode and be like, your journey will be remembered or something like that. Or
like hell it will.
yeah,
Bones file.
it says that on the screen too. It's like, it'll be remembered, and then it just boots you back to the title screen. Like, you bastards. but I ended up getting up to like a Greater Rift level of gosh, I think it was in the 80s somewhere, which is pretty far to get on a hardcore character. Enough for leaderboards for last season, which I'm really proud of.
Cool.
But like that wasn't the leaderboard I was trying to get on. I just explored that mode as a curiosity and ended up making it really far. So
Nice. Congrats.
GG.
thanks. And then there's one other game I wanted to mention. This one is a tabletop game, so it's not a video game. I was introduced to Baba Yaga, which is it's a card game that the objective is to have fewer than 3 points in your hand, and you can declare, Baba Yaga and the game that way, that kind of thing. But it's a lot more complex than that because of the way that, like you remove points and stuff from your hand and the way that you have to play things. And so I'm not going to go into too much detail here about it, but it's a game that is apparently very difficult to get your hands on. But my roommate just, happened to get their hands on it, and so I got to play it. It was a lot of fun. I really wish that they would print another edition of it.
I've never heard of it.
Sounds a little bit like Hearts, but maybe more specific.
Yes.
Amazing.
So,
Amazing.
on top of that, I also started for real a game project, so I'm going to be devoting some of my time with that too. Maybe dev streams, who knows?
Whoa!
Do it.
Look at you.
Do it.
Fancy developer person.
I know, right? So I decided to take one of our ad hoc design ideas.
Ha!
And so it is the RPG time management simulation that kind of grew out of being inspired by Google Calendar. It's and I haven't made mention about this, anywhere until tonight. So this is kind of the debut of the idea, and maybe I'll post on Twitter about it. But I'm calling it Heroes on Time. It's kind of where you roam around the countryside. It's turn-based strategy, and you're trying to gain favor among all the townsfolk and among all the different city states, and build your forces, and then hopefully by the time Big Bad comes, you are strong enough to face off against it, and can get the help of all the countryside. So
it's a calamity.
Yeah, and that's so randomly generated, and stat sheets and all that other fun stuff.
Cool.
is kind of the name of the game, and so I'm really excited. And I hope to have a prototype finished by the end of next month. I have some promising stuff already, but all the graphics suck because I'm not an artist.
Placeholders.
It's
programmer
all
art for the win.
Oh my god, it's all like MS Paint shit too.
Hell yeah.
So
my kind of game.
Yep. And I'm using monogame as kind of the base, kind of frustrated with with the content pipeline, so I'm probably gonna bypass all of that. I guess I'm not alone in that. Yeah, so that's how things are gonna go. So probably fewer games before next time, but I might have some more to share for next show. So
I might be playing it.
Ooh.
I could add it to my
Spoilers.
list. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Do whatever you want, man. It's freeform. It's a freeform show. Ain't no well,
yeah.
There's a requirement that you show up.
It was really the only good place to put it, before we got into like other games and other designs and stuff. So
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
So yeah,
all set.
On to Bond's games now.
Oh my god. So
all right, let's grab a drink and.
Yeah, right. Well, my drink is empty, so I'm kind of up a creek here. So last show I had just started Spelunky 2. I'm still playing it. it's still my regular, twice weekly game. It is very uninterested in your success. It is quite rude. It does not want you to win, or even progress beyond like the first level. So I hit a wall with it for like a good 2 or 3 nights. This week has shown a lot of progress though. I made it to 4-4 on one run, and then and then 4-1 on a different branch of it. Like it's not like OG Spelunky in so much as there's a very linear path. Like there's only one world per number or whatever. So like there's 2 different worlds at the 2x series, and then there's 2 different worlds at the 4x series, and I presume that continues at like 5x or 6x or whatever, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So that it's like OG Spelunky, but a lot more content to it. So it's like, well, here's the 20 or so things I know will kill me here. Shit, that's now 100 things that'll kill me. All right, cool. I'm glad we're following the Battletoads school of design. That's super good. But yeah, it's been frustrating, but very fun. And I'll continue to kind of chip away at it in the coming weeks. So Spelunky 2 still on the docket for the foreseeable future, because I would like to at least log like one full-on through victory with it before we set it aside. So that's going to be a lot of fun. On the Shmup Book Club side of things, 1943, the Battle of Midway, is the November Shmup. That was my selection. Yeah, it's a really interesting game.
Favorites.
The arcade version, not the NES version. The arcade version of it.
That's the favorite I'm talking about. I played it on the Commodore 64 first, but then when I played it in the arcade, it was like, this is the one.
Yeah, it's a really solid game for like as early as it was, kind of in the arcade timeline, right? So that's going on this November. For the 4th quarter and the 4th and a half quarter, which is kind of a somewhat new concept. Choren Shah 68K, still hanging out for 4th quarter of 2020 here. I wasn't aware of this at the onset, but apparently Choren Shah 68K inspired a lot of other shmup designs too, going forward. Which I suppose is sort of noticeable in some of the other shmups we've been playing for Shmup Book Club too. I'm an idiot. I'm an unaware idiot, so I didn't notice these things, right? So that's,
I've never even heard of that.
Right? It's a really awesome game. It's free too, so like you can go out, find it. There's a freeware Windows version that works on modern Windows too, so it works up to Windows 10. There's also an official like 68K version of it, hence the name.
Nice.
Very cool.
That you can grab and play too, so that's neat. The 4th and a half.
That one, or
what's that?
You said 68K. What system? Is it the Sharp, or?
I believe it's Sharp 68K. Yeah.
That's the only one I know of.
You say 68K, and I I think the processor, and I'm like, okay, I'm like
no, like the 68K console, right, or PC Engine, or whatever the heck it's considered. Yeah. It's the Windows port of it, or whichever one came first. It works similarly on 68K versus Windows. So
before you say the next one, I want to see if I remember it with all these TLAs.
Right.
Okay, can I try to guess?
Go for it.
Okay, is it Dodonpachi Daifuketsu?
Hey, look at that! Ding, 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 ding. He's got.
Oh shit! I actually remembered it. Cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Right? So
that's got such a good rhythm to it too.
It's good cadence. Yeah.
It's pretty good. The game itself follows very loosely in the vein of the Dodonpachi games, but I'm not 100% aware of like the through line of the lore or whatever, because it's all weird shit that is designed to eat your quarters in the arcades, right? And then when they port it to console, well, it's like, yeah, it's still a Dodonpachi game, but you can actually play it and beat it without going broke. Nice. But Dodonpachi Daifukatsu is the 4th and a half quarter for 2020. You might recall myself and EI doing a kind of head-to-head showdown in Super Stigma Slam 2019 with this game. I was
going to ask you to bring that up.
Yeah. Which
go back and look at our VOD list. It's below.
Somewhere, right? Which EI handily won. He is way better at that style of game than I ever hoped to be. So, but it's still an extremely fun game. Like
it has a really interesting story.
It's very visually arresting, I think. As games of that ilk are. Like there's a lot going on. But it's also a cave game, which means that your hitbox is quite tiny, and you can get away with a lot of bullshit that you really have no business getting away with. But to that point, it's like, well, it's wild. It's like, as I was mentioning before, when you were talking about Celeste, Saxxon, about, you know, picking it up and then going through and then setting it down. Like, this is a game where, no, once you get that adrenaline built up, you best be going more, because it takes a little bit to warm up.
That's gonna be a lot more you know, like twitchy and reactive things than less predetermined levels and patterns and stuff.
Yeah, surely, even though it's probably, you know, very loosely deterministic or whatever, but if you start watching the long plays and the super plays of this stuff, it's like, how can any human do this? And I say this as an old man, you know, right? So it's like I'm lucky to get through this game to the point that I can get through it, and then there are people just knocking it out left, right, and center. It's like, okay.
I mean, I just, you know, I watch you and yeah, I play it, like, you know, when you did during the marathon, and like, you do pretty good for a geezer, like,
right?
I'm like, dang, you know.
Ooh.
I will say it's different watching versus playing. But I think that's probably true for even something more, you know, contemporary or traditional like Tetris, Tormod. Like you watch people playing Tetris at a high level, and it's like, how in the hell are they doing that? And then you start playing it, and it's like, oh, okay, I can kind of see where you're coming from, right? It's like it's a different mindset or perception or something that either it's, you know, sped up or slowed down or whatever the heck it is. And
you gotta get in the flow.
Yeah, it's a very different kind of flow state between watching and actually playing, which is neat on a certain level. But then when you step back and you either go back and watch yourself playing it, or you just watch somebody else playing, you're like, no, like, well, you can't do that. Stop. It's so annoying. but anyway, so DDP DFK.
That you could say the title of that song to the same cadence as TMNT.
I was thinking it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, someone said that during the marathon. I forget who called it.
Really? Oh, that's fucking great. I love it.
It sounds like something a Mega Weapon would say, just saying.
there has to be, by this time, I would guess there has to be a meme generator for that, right? Throw in some words and it renders the image for you.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a Twitter bot that posts a bunch of them, so surely it has some way to generate it.
Right? Yeah.
But it's like it's a foreign title though, so I don't imagine it would really pick up on that.
Well, I think the bot itself goes through, was it Wikipedia article titles, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm almost positive that there is one for this, so, you know, eventually it might get to it. That's hilarious. I never even thought of that. But all right, so that's on the SBC front. Since I kind of varied up my stream schedule a bit, I'm doing kind of extended long plays on Sunday nights now, revisiting games that I have done in the past or just want to play more of in general. So since last show, which would have been October sometime, whenever it was, on Sundays I've been playing through Hades still, and Noita and Overload. Cool. All real good shit. You know, Hades and Noita are roguelikes, so, you know, you play through it, it's different every time. Overload had some extra DLC content that was released after the primary campaign and challenge levels. I've gone through the 2 DLC campaigns now.
Awesome.
Good and fun. Like back when I was originally playing the base game, it was like, yeah, this was done by the original Descent devs. Of course it was. Like, you can feel it. It's absolutely by them. And the DLC campaign is more of the same, really. Which is fantastic, even though it was built by different people. Right, it still felt, you know, very, very Descent-like, even though it's Overload, but it's by Descent people. So you know, that's
there's that DNA in games, you know, when someone who had created, you know, a masterpiece back then just kind of brings that forward. You just feel it.
Yeah, it's so good, and there's like, along with the couple DLC packs, there's like 15 new, you know, arcade style challenge maps to do with it too. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going back to those at some point.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's real fun. It's real cool, and I even if you're not into 6 Degrees of Freedom type games, I would recommend playing it. Dial down the difficulty or whatever. No shame in that. Just play it. It's great. It's great mechanistically. I mean, the story is, take it or leave the story. Personally, I don't care. Personally, I don't care too much about it. It's weird. It's, out there, sci-fi or whatever. But just play the game because it's real super cool and smooth.
I think that's the one sixed off that I remember you playing, like actually watching.
Overload?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even go back and play the classic Descent and Descent 2 and all that too. Like that stuff. That stuff's got source ports like Doom does, so it's completely playable in the modern age.
I have Descent running on the retro box as well, and that's something that I should, because I only ever completed the Descent 1 shareware episode. Like I didn't play through the game all the way through, so maybe that's something I should add to my list.
Yeah, absolutely do it. You like the shareware games of old, you can definitely tell that they put a lot of effort front loaded into those shareware missions because that's what sells the rest of the game.
Time the shareware episode is the best episode.
Yeah, and it's not an aspersion against that kind of thing because that was the business reality at the time, right? But the rest of the game is definitely worth checking out as well, both Descent 1 and 2. Aside from that, co-op with Boris and 006, we actually did kind of an off-schedule co-op a couple weeks ago with Risk of Rain 2, which we will be continuing tomorrow, in fact, since tomorrow is our regularly scheduled co-op. And we also played Soldat 2 on co-op. That's in early access. Still really fun.
Awesome.
As early as it is, it's still incredibly fun. And actually playable. So, that's kind of the big piece of it.
I remember playing the original Soldat back in college.
Heck yeah. So like if you want to get in on some of these shenanigans, just let us know. Let's fire that up. It's great. It's a really fun game.
I'm gonna have to look and see what Soldat 2 looks like these days.
Oh, it looks a lot like Soldat 1. It's just more 3D-ish. It's still like the standard 2D gameplay, right? But it's just polished up and smoother and I'd say easier to play even, but
fair enough.
Check it out if you can, because it's real good. I believe there is a demo on Steam too, so if you're not totally sold on paying whatever it is, like $15 or something,
I'll go have a look.
Check out the demo. But that's it. That's my long rambling list of games. So I think we are ready for more Toonskis.
Toonskis.
Oh, yeah, I suppose it's that time. All right, well, let's climb into the air and close the sky by Minnie Moog and Ruben Spears from Night in the Woods.
And then a remix from Life Force entitled Surgical Strike by Nutritious.
And finally, a remix titled Serenity and Grace from Chrono Cross by Tiniest 222.
Disc.
Huh. That's
Okay.
the song.
That's the end of the song.
Oh, yeah. I forget. The audio is delayed on the stream.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I was
why,
just like, oh crap.
that's why I dumped that little message saying 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Wrap up your kibitzing and get ready for ad hoc
Oh hey,
design.
actually, it never gave me the notification. That jerk. Whatever.
Fun. Well, anyways, we
Hi.
are nothing if not professional here. So
We say that every time.
we surely
Yeah.
do. Like that's how professional we are. We're very consistent.
The shrink wrap.
All right, fine.
So
You want
ad
to start
hoc
with the worst
design.
game first?
Oh no. Who does that mean though?
I mean, I'll take the fall on this one.
Oh, how dare you?
Okay. So, it's kind of funny given some of the stuff that Saxxon had been mentioning earlier, and I was just kind of like, fine. This this actually has a weird segue. So, the title of this game is Sudo Reboot Now.
Okay.
You can make your joke about not being in the sudoers file all you want, but anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
This incident has been reported to the administrators.
You didn't give a
Who's the
password, so
administrator? That's true. Anyhow, so as I had been doing, I used the Baroque Creations website that gave me random genres and themes and basically said, go to town making a game on this. And this time it just gave me utter bullshit. I didn't re-roll. So
just ran with it.
all right, very good.
I did. So the 4 genres it gave me this time are
Jesus. All right.
yeah, stealth,
Okay.
maze,
All right.
card game,
Oh no.
and bullet hell.
Oh jeez.
I'm like, what?
And the theme, this time it's only one theme. It's the internet.
Well, all right. Okay, you rolled easy on that one, I guess.
I guess. So it's a single player game because no. Input method is gamepad. That's all you get. Fuck you. Graphic style is cel shaded with futuristic coloration and design. Let's go tropey on it. Audio style is suspenseful but whimsical. Think Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music when the gamer is faced with time choices. Player gamers. Anyway, point of view is first person for the stealthy, mazy parts, and overhead for bullet hell and card segments. Because this isn't Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay.
Story.
Okay.
You're stuck inside of a computer after playing a game and your binging went bad. It's a trope.
Oh no.
Deal with it.
Mood.
And you set off to reenact the plot of at least 10 shows, movies, and video games. And slog your way through a series of labyrinthine puzzles sprinkled with challenge sections that put your card game and bullet hell skills to the test. As they say, good luck. The hook here is, well, it's pretty much just a parody of late 90s, early 2000s nerd anime that's hopefully more watchable.
Oh.
Inventory.
Tall order.
Right? Your inventory are stealth power-ups, cards, bullets, and hell. Mechanics. That was an attempt at a joke.
That last one take in your inventory.
Yes. Your burning curiosity. Anyway.
Oh, boy.
Mechanics. You make your way through various proc-gen labyrinthine puzzles, but be warned, when you're caught, you're made to fight to avoid deletion. Yeah, I know. Yes, you were talking about, Diablo. Anyway.
Yep.
So the objective here is get through myriad puzzles and escape the internet.
No one can escape the internet.
I know. I mean, we're thoroughly entrenched in this thing that we're all kind of, stuck with at this point. So my smart device, the tether's not visible, but anyway.
Yeah,
so
close enough.
Sudo Reboot Now. Yeah. So there is a fantastic anime from around 2000 called Reboot. And I was just kind of like, I'm going to play on that, and it's going to be self-referential and a parody of all of that. So think also like Code Lyoko, because that was actually kind of interesting. Also French. The French had anime. Who knew?
What?
That was a good one. I enjoyed Code Lyoko quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I wanted to make this game exciting, yeah, I would probably do shit like that.
Yeah.
So supposedly there were Code Lyoko video games too, which I
Yeah,
haven't seen.
I
Wow, news to me.
I feel like they were big on the Game Boy Advance.
Yes, I do remember GBA.
Yeah.
So, in any case,
Well, big.
I'm sure you can go find them on eBay. But in any case, that's my game. It's that.
Okay. Well, as yours was based in the internet, mine sort of is in a very not connected sort of way. That's only partially true. So my
I'm
design,
trying really hard not to spoil this idea for myself.
don't do it. Don't do it. Wait
just
for it.
go on, please.
So, okay, so I've got a mission-based office worker stealth simulation.
Wait, haven't we done this?
2 stealth games.
We sort of have, but because it was like 2 shows ago when I did office type stuff, right? So
Okay.
just to kind of preface this for whoever else might be listening, right? This is not based in any way, shape, or form on my current employment situation, just to put that out of your mind whatsoever. I know I've just condemned myself by saying so, but whatever, we're just going to go with it. So the overarching story here is you're on a mission to erase your browser history. That is the only point of this game, is to get in and erase your browser history. GTFO.
Is this a Flash game?
It is not. It could be, but this one is not.
Okay.
So along the way, you might take on side missions from your coworkers who want you to do various things, such as deleting their browser history, unsending emails, clearing out a database, etc. It starts very simple. The first goal that you have is simply to get to your office PC, clear the browser history, and then escape the building, aka go to lunch.
Ah.
As you progress, paths get more complex. Sure, you still need to get to your PC, but you must also avoid the coworker that talks too much, your boss who tends to give you too much work on the weekends, etc. Sometimes just deleting your browser history won't be enough. You might also have to clear logs, maybe breach the on-site data center, corrupting tape backups, etc.
So
Magnets.
does this go out, like, since if you are a Google Chrome user, do you have to like break into Google and also like do something?
Oh, don't give me existential dread. Come on.
So this might involve such things as avoiding security guards, avoiding cameras, distracting janitorial staff, stealing key cards, physically breaking certain locks, etc. So here
Corporate
comes
espionage.
Exactly. Here comes the stealth stuff. Don't get caught while doing this. So you'll have to do various things to distract people and or clear barriers, like, say, turning off lights, or tipping over plants, or water coolers, or making microwave popcorn such that it sets off the building alarm. You know,
Gee.
normal stuff like that none of us have ever had to deal with ever before.
As I stare into the distance.
Right?
Pop tag
Right?
6000
Mhm.
start.
Uh-huh.
Let it go. So that's really the entire premise, honestly.
So what you're telling me is this is a stealth pen testing game.
Sort of, yeah. But less kind of white hat and more like, oh shit, I want to clear my Google search history.
So, what the heck would it be in anyone's history that like you would need to frantically delete it this bad? Or is it kind of like that the glowy briefcase in Pulp Fiction where like you're never supposed to know what the contents are?
Well, if you have to ask, ...
That's it. Yep, next game.
Yep, pretty much. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
like if you think back to all the stuff you've ever put into Google or whatever search engine,
Oh god.
there's naturally some stuff in there that out of context would be bizarre,
Yeah.
Incriminating.
right? And it's like, in the context of everything else you've looked up, like curiosities or whatever, like it's benign. nobody gives a shit
Yeah.
about next person's search history. But if you were to like look at a huge list of search terms, or if you've seen people take like the type something in and let autocorrect take care of the rest, it's like, hey, okay. I'd rather not like
True.
have that hanging around.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm an avid consumer of like true crime and stuff like that. And so I'm like, oh dang, like how did they manage that one? And so like my Google history has probably got to look something like on some days a bit of a serial killer.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it's stuff that will land you on perhaps more than one list. And
Yeah.
frankly, you'd probably want to clear that out if you can.
Probably. I'm sure that my name is already out there on some kind of irrevocable list as a
Yeah.
result of that.
Naturally. So here's the game around it where you have the control to get rid of it. And that's it. That's what I got.
All right. Well,
so it's a nerd's fantasy.
Sure.
I don't know.
Or I guess, I mean, all like to some extent a nightmare, right? I'm sure someone has dreamt about like trying to take back something from their history.
And for no other particular reason that I bring this up, that's why it's always a good idea to make friends with the sysadmin or the front desk security guard or both.
Cough, cough.
This is true. All right. I also did a stealth game this time around.
3 for 3. I love it.
Yeah, and I came up with the stupidest title for it. Mine is called Hide and Go Seek and Destroy.
Wheel of Fortune before and after.
Here I'm thinking of like a Fisher Price kids game now, but please do.
Hide and Go Seek and Destroy is the next Fisher Price product.
Oh no!
Exactly, it's like Minesweeper, except never mind.
Yeah, okay. Don't finish that
It's
thought.
colorful and made out of plastic explosives.
It's fantastic.
Oh no.
Woof. All right. That's another phrase that I uttered. It's gonna get me on a list. Can't wait. So the premise of this one is you are a secret agent and you're infiltrating a seemingly impenetrable fortress. You're not able to sneak weapons or anything like that onto the premise undetected. You pretty much had to sneak in with just, like the plainest of clothing. And that's, because you had to conceal your entry. But that doesn't matter because you do have a superpower that allows you to make changes to your environment. Your objective is to get to the core, where an evil scientist's alien mainframe resides. Somehow this evil scientist got a hold of a mainframe that is made of materials that don't exist on Earth, and somehow it is extremely powerful, and this person has it.
And it was also made in the 70s.
Sure, we'll go with that. So the scientist is attempting to use this supercomputer to crack all of the world's access codes and credentials and stuff like that, and private keys, and like apparently there's enough computing power there for this to be a legitimate threat. So you have been sent in, trying, not to cause too much of a commotion, because the place is also immensely guarded and nobody quite knows how it works because there's a bunch of other alien technology in there. And so you're kind of doing recon / saving the world. So your superpower allows you to, it's telekinesis, right? But it's applied in this manner. It's, you're trying to use telekinesis in order to gain an advantage while breaking into this facility. It's gameplay that happens on a grid. So there's kind of there's a macro grid, which consists of like the rooms kind of laid out in a tile arrangement. And then each of those tiles is itself a microgrid, which is like the individual room layout and walls and desks and what have you. And much of the space inside can be slid into different positions. So like you can take that desk and move it a couple spaces over. If you want to, stick it in front of a doorway or something like that, that's going to slow down, whoever wants to come and check the place out. Enemy agents will be patrolling the area. If they spot and catch you, you lose a life. They are much faster, much stronger, much more capable than you are, even with telekinesis. You'll just be, you'll be overwhelmed and swarmed, and there's nothing you can do. So you want to remain hidden as much as possible. And if you do die, you have to restart the whole stage. So like the facility itself resets basically, and you have to do it again. So there's a live system. There's scoring based on how quickly you're able to do these things, and like how little noise you've been able to make in order to get through the different parts of the facility. But because it's it's designed to be arcade style, consume your quarters style, get up on the leaderboard style kind of thing. Sound is an important component of the game. Moving walls is extremely noisy. I mean, there's a lot of mass there, and you're just moving chunks of building around. So it's going to draw notice from the enemy agents. But if just scattering papers or whatever to like kind of draw attention to a particular area is not going to generate much noise at all.
I see they took dungeon design from Link to the Past.
What's that?
Oh, there are puzzles in Link to the Past where it moves entire walls and stuff. Anyway,
good time to drink, honestly.
Let's see. So you can create distractions by moving things out of place or making things ajar, leaving security doors open, that kind of thing. By itself, the agents are going to be like vaguely suspicious, but like, people make mistakes. And so they're going to be like, well, it's some jackass didn't follow protocol. And so we're going to go ahead and correct this thing, and they'll try to set it back. But if the more egregious the distraction you set up, the more suspicious they get. The agents from the general area are going to kind of group together to like put their minds together to try and figure out what's going on. Like, why did this happen? And I thought this wall was over here. Stuff like that. And sometimes it's going to be enough to draw enemy agents away from other areas that are extremely well guarded. Otherwise, so when you can kind of scoot them away from what they're guarding, you can kind of slip past. This does use line of sight mechanics, so you'll see vision cones. Enemy positions are going to be marked as long as you can get an idea. You will be able to see enemies behind walls. You're going to know where all the enemies are at all times, which is really the only advantage that you're going to have besides telekinesis. You can mess with the lights if you have access to like the circuitry and stuff, which will shorten their cone of vision. It's going to make them extremely, suspicious, and they're going to like scramble to try and get the lights back on and stuff like that. But maybe not like guaranteed to do that. And that's because the presence of all of this alien technology, since the technology is not terribly well known, it's actually kind of thrown together as a bit of a patchwork. And so glitches happen, lights go out, random shit just happens,
it's like a real computer.
Right. So just, so stuff just happens. Sometimes the lights will go out on their own. Sometimes like doors will open and close and panels will like, gain or provide access. Stuff will become unlocked, just little bits of chaos here and there, it won't always work in your favor, but sometimes it can, because the guards are, they're like, well, we don't know that this is something that is a glitch or someone trying to infiltrate, so we should really thoroughly investigate this anyway, that kind of thing. That's pretty much all I got. Just, kind of try to get from the entrance to the exit being like that'll grant you access to the next floor and the next floor and so on. And based on how you have the difficulty set, there will be so many floors until you reach the top. There will be a bonus, if you make it all the way to the end. If you lose all your lives, or if you make it to the top, it'll do a tally of like all of the things that you've done, and like all of the guards that you've been able to like fool into thinking, other things and whatnot. So you will be rewarded for just generally dicking with the guards. It's great. But there will also be a time limit, because if you don't proceed fast enough, the evil scientist is able to enact their plan, and then at that point, just general chaos ensues. So,
Okay, so is it bad that this makes me think of a much more interesting version of Untitled Goose Game? That's what I was thinking almost this entire time, and I was just like, holy
Like,
fuck.
it seems to me that there's a lot more in stake here than in Entitled Goose Game, but all the
I
same,
know.
I love Entitled Goose Game.
And you're a terrible goose.
Yes.
Sorry.
The comic when the goose is talking to the Grin Reaper and is like, "Was I good?" And the Grin Reaper's all like, "No." and
Steel
and
scythe.
yep. And now the scythe is gone. This is what you've wrought upon yourself. Yeah. So it's kind of infiltrate, get to the end, screw with some guards along the way, have some, have this superpower that sounds like it would be all powerful, but really it's all you need in order to get there. So
Cool. This sounds pretty great.
It's pretty amazing that all three of us came up with stealth games this time.
Yeah.
Like that's
I didn't look at any of the other games.
That's wild.
I was all like,
I had no choice.
stealth game sounds great. And I was kind of thinking about like Among Us when I was developing this. Not that Among Us is not a stealth game, but like I do kind of like how you can just sort of like mess with the other players and turn the lights out and make it so that it's like impossible to see anyone. And so like maybe you could do that as like a part of a game mechanic, and like being an infiltrator as opposed to like an imposter.
Sure.
That's what I got.
Phew. Okay, well, we have been going an extra long time tonight.
Oh yes.
This has been an enjoyably lengthy show.
So I will make the cursory query as to, is there anything further we wish to say to people?
Nope, that's all I got.
Knowing full well that if we were sane, we would say no and immediately stop.
So like,
right. But yeah, no, this is great. This is great. I think what I would like to start doing from here on out is at the start doing the full intro thing, like here explaining what the show is and et cetera, et cetera. Because who the heck knows, we might get new viewers from time to time that are like, what the F is this? And they're like, oh, here, this is what the F this is. And they're like, oh, cool, now I know what the F this is. And they're like, okay, you can swear, right? Oh yeah, what the fuck is it? Yeah, this is the fuck this is. Okay, great.
Yeah. I do like it, and I think that like that kind of extracted out of this as kind of like an introductory, like this is kind of what we do, is going to be really beneficial. So,
and who knows, that might bring the precursor to some format changes or something, whatever we decide to do right now. I think this kind of very hastily thrown together experiment of 3 video feeds has worked out very well.
Yes.
And I'm pleased to see the results of it. It will be refined for next time, clearly, because it looks a little bit weird with some letterboxing. But hey,
I'm very happy that that this is something that we were able to make work tonight, because I feel like us all being on camera was a lot more like personal, between like us and the people who are viewing and listening to our stream. Well, I guess if you were listening to it on like Icecast or whatever, like maybe you didn't quite see the video. But like for folks who are watching on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, it's like, hi, we're here.
Yep.
Nice to see y'all. So
multimedia. All right, very good. Well, naturally, our next show is December 11th for round 85. That will round out 2020. But for tonight, I believe that is all. So with that, we will leave you with our typical closing track, a remix from Mario Kart Wii entitled Wind in Your Hair by Overclock University. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.
Adios.